and welcome to the next MCU movie episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Two seals fighting over a grape, Michael K. Hughes.
And Bill, I'm not very good at Russian accent, Tucker.
That was good. I had nothing.
It's not bad.
What did you say?
Fair enough.
I think I might have mentioned this in one of the other episodes, but I actually, as I'm warrior watching him, like I could say this at the beginning. That'd be funny. So the takeaway is I think I'm hilarious. So
there you go. That's fine. Everyone has one fan themselves. Usually. So.
I got my wife, so that's always good.
There you go.
And the movie that we're going to be talking about this time is we're going to be talking about Iron Man 2, the third MCU movie that technically takes place before Hulk. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it does.
Yeah.
Further credence that Hulk wasn't meant to be in the MCU and it was just kind of tacked on.
It was. Well, actually, Hulk takes place the same week as Iron Man 2, but the after credit scene in Hulk takes place after Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Weird.
And Captain America, also part of Captain America, happens the same week. Like there's a scene where Nick Fury says, I have to go do something. He's going to the Captain America movie. And then when Phil Coulson says, I have to go to New Mexico, he's going to the Thor movie.
He's going to Thor.
All happens during this movie.
It was a busy week. Yeah. Wow. All right.
It's just weird. But so, Bill, is this your first time seeing this movie?
No, I've seen it a few times now. Yeah. So I saw it on my antiquated Blu-ray player, as I've mentioned before. There was a period of time when these were first coming out where I bought all of them. So there's going to be a good stretch of time where I don't have to subscribe to Disney Plus.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
As much as I like Disney Plus, but at the time of this recording in April, it's not. I still had multiple times watching Iron Man 2. I had to stop the movie, back out of the movie, and go back into the movie because it just wouldn't cooperate.
That's wild. See, I didn't have any issue. I was watching on PS4 and it ran just fine.
Maybe my internet.
That could be.
My internet's been acting up lately, so it could be that. But it's happened on my phone too when I've been on Wi-Fi in other places. Even when I frickin' Disney Plus, I can download an episode of a show. I'm like, okay, I should be fine. Nope, it won't even load at all. They're like, nah, we're not going to let you watch that. We know you downloaded it, but you're not going to watch that.
Weird.
All right. Plus has some issues.
That's it.
Well, we're not here to talk about Disney Plus, but
no.
This was a sequel to 2008 Iron Man that came out in 2010, April. I had seen this in theaters, and I vaguely remembered it, and I saw it about a year or two ago. It was on Netflix for a little while, and I watched it, and my opinion was higher that time than it was this most recent watch. Even I still like this movie.
Yeah.
It's strange because it starts off with, as a direct sequel to the last Iron Man where, he's, growing his company. He's, you have headlines. He's this big star. And I want to say, doesn't it start off with the guy in Russia watching the news?
Yeah. The press conference from the end of the first movie.
Yeah, if we're jumping right into it, if we're going to do generalities first,
we could.
I don't like this as much as you guys. If I had to give it a rating, I'd say around 7, depending on my mood. It's a very slight movie, like we kind of talked about in the virtual green room. It's it's a slight movie, and it's minor, and it's hard to follow up the original Iron Man, which is that big origin story. This movie has the Matrix problem, where the first Matrix is phenomenal, groundbreaking. We haven't quite seen anything like it. So how could the second or the third possibly stand up? And the same thing here. The first Iron Man changed how we kind of saw superhero movies, at least Marvel. I don't remember when the Nolan Batman movies were out. Was it around the same time?
Yeah, I think
earlier.
It was 4.
Was it earlier?
Yeah, I was still with my ex-girlfriend at the time when I saw Dark Knight. It was before my son was born, so it would have been like at least 06. I'm looking it up right now.
Because those movies changed how we saw superhero movies, at least in the DC world and the Batman world. Marvel was still kind of silly at that point and not great. And Iron Man, of course, changed that because Iron Man, the first one, is phenomenal. It's great, as we learned two shows ago.
2005, 2008, and 2012 for Dark Knight.
Okay. So, yeah, so that kind of sea change had already started to happen, and Iron Man was the sea change for the Marvel movies. So it's hard to follow up that with something that is slight, minor. 2 hours? I was like, this movie is only 2 hours. This is kind of crazy, considering all the Marvel movies nowadays are 2.5 minimum. So Anyway, yeah. So generalities, I don't think I like this as much as you, but we'll go through it as you talk about it. And yeah, opens with Dad, Ivan's dad, passing away, and his final vision. Anton, sorry, Anton, is that Mickey Rourke?
I think it's Ivan. Ivan's
Ivan's the father.
Oh, is it? Well, then I wrote all my notes wrong because I think it's the other way around. All my notes.
Anton's the father. Ivan's.
Oh, yeah, no, he's right. I can't read.
I thought so. Okay, so yeah, Anton watching his dying glance is Tony Stark being Tony Stark and proclaiming he's Iron Man.
Also, for those that don't know, including me, until I just read this about 5 seconds ago, Anton Vanko is a name of the original Crimson Dynamo, which is definitely not this character in this movie. For those that don't know, Crimson Dynamo is a Russian version of Iron Man. Essentially, it has the same type of suit, but it's all red and bigger, which they didn't go nowhere in this movie, but they used the same last name.
He kind of has a bit more of bulk on him in the last fight, which
it's not Crimson Dynamo. It's a combination of Whiplash, but it's not Whiplash at the same time. This is when they didn't really care. They're like, we're gonna take a name, we'll make something. They weren't trying to actually be true to the character yet for villains. They just Abomination, look like a freaking body horror monster, not look like a giant ogre. They just didn't care yet. So.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the comics, so for me, there's that continuity doesn't really matter for me. But yeah, we'll get to Ivan. But does Ivan ever have a villain name?
I don't think so. I was just thinking that when Mike was talking about that, they never name drop. They do it for War Machine later on, but no, Ivan never gets anything.
He technically is Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo combined. Whiplash is a character who looks like a regular guy with a green ponytail. I want to say it's green, but he has a ponytail and looks really stupid as hell. And he has 2 whips that are electrified.
And that's okay. All right. I was just curious about it because no one ever refers to him other than an Ivan or Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, because they didn't really know what they were doing. I mean, they were still I don't think they were ready yet to go that route of calling villains by their name. Even when I've been watching Smallville, which I've been doing this time, unfortunately, they still don't like to say the villain name. They'll find a way oh man, that guy's like a Doomsday, or I didn't get that far, but just to give you an example, they come up with a dumb way to say something. Oh, you're an Aquaman, aren't you?
You're an abomination.
Exactly. I was just
you're an abomination.
It's the same. It was that thing in the early 2000s, and it took a while to really get away from no, we're just gonna call him by the character's name. In Flash, they did it really well. In the Flash show, they're oh, we'll call him Captain Cold. That's great. They buy into it. We're here.
Cisco nicknames all the villains.
Yeah. Here they weren't ready yet. So there's my thing. It gets better in later movies. I want to say Black Panther, they do a good job of saying, yeah, he's Killmonger. They don't even fuck around anymore. But we'll get there. So, Mike, did you have any initial thoughts about this movie? Do you want to say?
I just remember liking it. I'm sure I saw it in theaters, but that's been so damn long ago now. I don't remember anything about it from then. It's just I know that people hate it, and I like it more than they like it, and that's about it. We kind of talked about, we talked about just before we started recording. It's you either like this movie or you like 3 or you hate both of them. There's not really anyone that likes all the Iron Man movies equally.
No.
Well, I think that's an impossibility. I can't imagine.
True.
Again, like I said, I don't hate this movie. It's just not great. It's fine, and it's kind of it's a shrug. In my opinion, but there's some really good parts of it, and there's some really horrendous parts, and we'll get through it.
There are definite. I mean, even the beginning, I think it's just cool how they do open up with the Russia thing. They don't really tell you what's going on, but they show his father dying. They show him building the arc reactor inside a little Russian apartment. I mean, and I could buy the part where it takes him 6 months in order to get the tickets to get to Monaco, to get everything to go kill Stark and to build his equipment. I buy this a lot more than 31 days for Bruce Banner to get from wherever the fuck he was in Brazil to America. I buy this a lot more. I was okay. I'm okay, you gave it enough time. You gave him the resources. You didn't just show, oh, I put my hand out. They put a penny in my palm. All right, I'm going to America.
I actually had in my notes that was going to come up at some point.
I hated that part. It bothered me so much. I like that movie. I don't know. I like having more means of showing the character growing.
Well, yeah.
I want some explanation for a simple thing. Hulk is just had so many issues. Like since we recorded the episode, I've been thinking about it more. Like the part where he just walks off the bridge and nobody quit, and all of a sudden he's at the college. I'm like, oh God, I'm so glad Paramount was kicked out after this.
Yeah, I think with the reveal of Ivan, my big problem with it is that it's such a quick. Sorry, no, it's okay.
I was ranting. I was ranting. Please go take.
Listen, man, we're all captains of the ship. So if I don't mind if I kind of steer us back on the critical path.
I'm thankful, Ashley. I needed somebody to.
I've always on old shows, you can cut this out, but on old shows I've done, I've always been the captain, the steerer of the ship. Like, just bring us back on track to a certain extent. But I'm a big fan of rants as well. So
that's what
especially if it's rants about stupid timelines about Hulk and its dumb timelines. So yeah, when it comes to Anton, I don't particularly love the reveal of Ivan. Like you said, Anton staring at the TV, his final glance is Tony Stark being better than him. It's very forced. It's a forced and it's unearned. And that's kind of what I wrote in my notes was this is an unearned motivation. His motivation is kind of ham-handed. His dad is dying, is telling him a reminder, we were screwed over by the Starks. You can be better than him. You could be that guy. Clearly you can't. It's just, as we'll learn later, not that good. Not as good. That's just an unearned. It's just kind of an unearned motivation, and his anger scream is just
it's great.
It's so cringe. It's so cringy. Director said, Jon Favreau says, so do a Russian scream. Mickey Rourke goes, all right, here we go.
He sounds like a minion in an 80s action movie dying,
yes,
like falling off a boat from an explosion.
Something out of Commando. Someone just gets thrown into a wall.
I did like the parallels of Ivan making his arc reactor to Tony in the cave making it. It's a lot of similar shots. And it almost makes you think they could have been similar, but the motivations were different, and that's why Ivan kind of went down the wrong path.
And there you can see those parallels, right? Like, Ivan is now trying to make good by his, continue his father's legacy. Tony Stark is trying to live up to it with a mental feeling of I can never live up to this, which causes that kind of internal conflict, which is good. I'm into that. I'm into those parallels, but they just don't line up in the visual telling of the story and in the actual telling of the story. So, but yeah, it's decent, but it's not earned. That's kind of where I landed on that reveal and his motivation.
There's a lot of legacy themed in this movie. I have it in my notes several times.
Oh, this I didn't know, but I'm looking up stuff as we're talking. Apparently the guy who gives Whiplash the documentation to leave Russia is part of the 10 Rings terrorist group.
Oh,
well,
and it doesn't
never would have known
say
that.
At any point in this movie does it say it, but apparently I'm looking at a wiki right now and it says that's who it was that was giving him the thing, but there is no reference at all anywhere in this movie that would let your regular viewer know. Maybe there's something that we missed, but I've watched this movie multiple times. I never knew that until I'm looking up stuff. So it was not obvious.
Yeah, never would have guessed that one. Huh. Okay. He looked nefarious. I don't know. He looked like a person with means.
He's a friend in low places.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to sing a song right now, but
yeah, well,
please do. Please do.
Tony tells him later, he's like, "You look like you have friends in low places."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how you got there. We'll get to how Ivan actually gets to the pit crew. It didn't look like that kind of invite.
When you have friends in low places, the whiskey drowns and the beer chases.
True.
It makes me like now that I know it was 10 rings that were helping him leave Russia, I like this movie a little bit more. All of a sudden it just raised up. I'm like, okay, that makes a little more sense for that beginning part. Yeah, they hated him, so I buy into a little more. I'm not sure how I feel about the whole Expo thing. Like, I understand that it's Tony trying to live up to his father's legacy, and he's trying to do like this year-long Stark Expo. I mean, that was interesting. Like, I mean, the whole idea to learn more new technology and make America better, greater. I mean, it was a cool idea. I just when they start with, I want to say it's an AC/DC song that starts this movie out.
Yeah.
Which I guess in this time zone, like in the 2010s, like AC/DC was big for some reason, even though they weren't really around anymore. I want to say.
I mean, it's just a classic song that people recognize and fits the mood of Tony Stark jumping out of an airplane and doing Tony Stark stuff. I didn't read too much into that.
Okay,
the expo for me is just an extension of his ego. I didn't catch, for me, it wasn't like, him trying to live up to his dad, because we haven't really been introduced to his father yet, like as a character. At all.
Other movies.
So I say it again. Sorry.
I'm probably adding stuff from other movies into that, but no, your opinion is better, is more correct on this, because you're seeing it from more of, not have seen all the movies like I have multiple.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it from just a film as it is, and again, I haven't seen 3, so. But I do know Stark's dad is definitely a theme throughout, especially, of course, in Captain America. Yeah. But it's for me, it was just him showing off. And for me, just showing off and showing that he is not grown. There's no growth between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, which is fine. I don't mind that so much. It's just him kind of stoking his ego under this kind of trapping of, hey, let's get the greatest minds in the world together, and we're going to do amazing things and benefit humanity. Yeah. Fine, but it's still kind of stoking your ego, landing in front of a bunch of, Iron Man cheerleaders with blasters on their feet and hands, and in this big kind of like rock, concert, basically. So, I like it fine. I like it fine as a backdrop, as a setting, as an excuse to kind of set some of these things in motion.
I mean, it plays the biggest plot of the whole movie. Like everything revolves around this expo, and they make it work. And I mean, this is also only 6 months after the original, what happened in the first Iron Man movie, which I thought you think they give it more time, but I guess at first they didn't know how far. I mean, all these movies take place very close together, which changes later, because later on all the movies are like years apart. Most of them are.
Yeah, I think they try to keep into like the timeline of when the films are released instead of within the continuity or whatever.
Yeah,
I took the expo as kind of the first part of the overarching theme we'll see of him trying to leave the world a better place, since he thinks he's dying from this toxicity level that the palladium's giving him from the arc reactor. So he's trying to start the expo to get all the greatest minds together, as you said. Try to leave the world a better place than he, whatever.
Yeah, no, and that's good. And it also kind of frames its two sides of Tony very, very well illustrated. A is hubris, the person he is trying to show everyone he is, right? His ego. This is the guy I am. And then he goes behind the curtain, checks his blood, and he's got a toxicity meter, which tells me as the viewer, there's a toxicity problem. Because why would you have this meter if you don't have a problem? So you have two sides right away. You have your side of, badass, look at me, I'm Iron Man. And the other side, there's an issue and I got some frailty. And that's good. And that's a good device to kind of, again, I don't know, say Superman, a character, because I know people love Superman. I never understood Superman. I don't want to understand Superman. I'm tired of people telling me Superman is great, even though he is a super person who cannot be harmed by anything except a MacGuffin. I get it. I understand, but I don't want to grow with that. I don't care. Sorry, that was my little rant. But
I agree with you. So.
Okay. However, sorry, I just got lost track because I've had people send me articles about this, and I'm like, great.
You're talking about like the toxicity. My issue with the toxicity is how fast it goes from like when you first see it, it's at 24%. So 6 months he's been doing this, he's at 24%. Okay, makes sense. I can buy that. But it doesn't take long throughout this movie, which has to be less than a week taking place. He's at 70, 80, 90%. Like that kind of irritated me how fast it grows throughout this movie. Like it should have been slower, not as it goes way too fast. But I guess that's them rushing to what they're trying to get to, which is him not focusing.
Maybe they're trying to convey that much time has passed, but I don't know what it's supposed to mean to the average viewer.
I didn't like it.
For me, I kind of, the way I read it was he's been maintaining this a while. Like everything he's been doing, it's kind of like a diabetic. Obviously, it's a finger prick. Right? He's been maintaining his condition through his green goop and his juice, and through replacing the palladium cores when they burn out. But now it's really accelerating, and I can see how a disease, especially during our current situation, guys, we're recording this in the middle of the COVID thing, so maybe I'm a little more sensitive. Yeah, April 2020, guys or gals, but we are. I can see that being like a bell curve. like at a certain point, it accelerates, and you're like, okay, things are not working anymore because maybe his body's getting used to it. It's just not being effective, and that kind of arcing, kind of that bell curve where it's just going to escalate further, faster is okay. I'm okay with that, but I can see what you're saying. It's like, really, everything's been good, and all of a sudden, poof! It just in time for this Russian maniac to come and start swinging energy swords at you. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I totally get it as a device, but I kind of hand wave that.
You made it explain more now, where I'm a little more okay with it now. You were talking about with like the whole curve idea. You kind of got me more onto it. Okay.
Yeah, illness does that sometimes, right? Everything's cool until it's not, and then things happen rather quickly.
Like January 2020, everything was kind of cool, and then February it was cool, then March it wasn't cool anymore.
No, it's not good. Now my wife is downstairs. She's handcrafting masks because you know what? I got to go to the store tomorrow, and hey, listen, I'm messing around. So.
We'll say it's April 4th, 2020. We're recording this just because who knows what the hell's going to happen by the time I release it.
Yeah, right. June. Exactly. The internet could explode.
I'm just going to get that out there. Or May. I think this is May. Okay. Okay. You sold me more on the toxicity part. I mean, the cheerleader thing was a little overdone. Like, I'm like, okay, it works. It fits Tony. But I was like, I mean, when I was younger, I thought it was cooler than 20-something-year-old Mike thought it was much cooler than 32-year-old Mike thought. But
I do hope so.
It was cool.
That's called growth. I hope so. That's called personal growth. It's a good thing.
I do like the gauntlets, though. I mean, the gauntlets are cool. Wouldn't mind a pair. But the expo is just weird. But it does set so much of what's going to happen. And I like this is the first time you do see Howard Stark. One of the two different. I think it's 2 or 3 different actors to play Howard Stark, but I want to say it's 3 out of everything. Really? I could be wrong. It might only be 2.
I'm sure it's not the same guy in Captain America when he's meant to be young.
No, it's a different guy.
Yeah.
So there's at least 2.
Yeah, and they bring this guy back in Civil War II to do like a scene. Yeah, there's 3 actors.
Okay.
Gerard Sanders in Iron Man, Dominic Cooper in First Avenger, and John Slattery in Iron Man 2, Civil War, Ant-Man, and Endgame.
Okay.
So
I love this old school look. I love oldie time technology and oldie time video like that 60s era. It's very good. I did like that when they found a way to incorporate his father more in this movie than in the last movie. So I mean, I bought that, and I want to say the next thing that happens is that's when it jumps to when this movie starts to really kind of take off. When they jump, he goes to the Grand. I think the next scene is the Grand Prix.
No. As he's leaving the expo, he's handed a subpoena by Kate Mara, who I think is best known for playing Sue Storm in the 2015 Fantastic Four movie, right?
Sure, yeah.
The pinnacle of her cinematic career, you see.
I really like Kate Mara. Well, like I smiled. She's also in the first season of House of Cards.
Yep, she's excellent in that. She's phenomenal.
That's a great show. Except I can't watch it anymore.
One of 3 faces I saw in this scene that I was like, oh yeah, it's that person. Before her was Stan Lee as Larry King.
So good.
I didn't like that. I don't like that cameo much as some of his other cameos.
Not my favorite, no.
I liked him better as Hugh Hefner in the first one.
Yeah.
And then funny. Even before that, it was Olivia Munn as the news reporter, Chess Roberts. It was like, wait, is that Olivia Munn?
Yep.
I had to look it up, and yeah, sure enough.
That is. Yes.
She kind of fell off the face of the earth. Well, she did Psylocke.
Yeah, she's in X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Still never seen
I recognized her, but I didn't know what she was in, so.
She was Attack of the Show. Attack of the Show. Yeah. On G4.
Oh, I never really watched it. Attack of the Show.
Thing.
Yeah.
Back when G4 was around a long time ago.
G4. That was good stuff.
It was good.
Then the internet happened, and it's like, we don't need you anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it was X-Play with Morgan Webb and Adam Sessler.
Adam Sessler.
Yeah.
Adam Sessler's crazy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Is he?
He lost it. Yeah, he lost it apparently on Twitter.
Is he a crazy person?
Yeah, he tweets from what I heard, he tweets real crazy shit. Like he just lost it.
Okay.
It's just one of those celebrities,
All right.
You know the kind.
I gotta go down that rabbit hole now. All right. I didn't know he was a crazy person. Is he a gross crazy person or just a wingnut?
I didn't look too far into it. I just saw something about he was crazy and he spouts out madness on Twitter.
Gotcha.
I was like, okay.
But yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
So the subpoena scene is pretty fun. Mike, what'd you think of that the subpoena scene.
I just like Kate Mara. Other Mike.
Yeah.
You go, Mike.
Oh, the subpoena or the courtroom following?
Oh, the courtroom. Sorry, I'm talking about. He goes to DC. He goes to the courtroom.
Oh, and we
that
meet
Gary
Senator
Chandler?
Stern.
Yep.
Yeah, who is no longer with us, but man, is he really unlikable in this movie?
Oh, and
As he's meant to
spoiler
be.
alert for later. I forgot to say that. Oh, well, people know better. 10 years old, I don't care. But there's a spoiler in that scene. You find out later he's a Hydra agent.
That's given the directors a lot of credit that they planned that this far ahead. But yeah, it definitely puts some new context on the scene. That he works for Hydra, so of
That
course
does make
he'd be totally against Iron Man.
He is physically grimy. Like he has a sheen about him. His skin doesn't look great. It like has this like just greasy kind of face. Like yeah, he's thoroughly despicable all the way through.
He's
I
not
didn't
the
even
only
know who
person
he
in the scene.
was until later. Like when I first saw this movie, I had no idea he was a comedian. I just thought he was another actor in this movie. But
Yeah,
I know he's.
it's all nefarious, and of course Tony is just being likable and charming, and of course we get introduced to our
His antithesis.
yes. Oh, okay. So hang on a second now. Sam Rockwell is. I don't know if he's divisive. Is he universally known as a good actor? Because he's very good.
I
Is he?
think so.
Or I think he's like a love him, hate him kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he
love
does-
these. Go ahead,
He's a good
sorry.
actor. You're fine.
I think he's a great actor, and I love him in this role. He is such a dork. He is such a nerd, and he stinks at what he does. But I kind of love that. If there was a stronger villain on top of that, right?
I feel like he
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
played a lot of himself in this movie. Like I feel like certain things, like there's a part where he comes out dancing. I feel like that wasn't in the script. That was just him being him.
Which is
He
great.
just
And
feels like that kind of actor.
yeah, and just quickly, it reminds me a lot of Tim Roth in The Incredible Hulk. Like you have to like that guy in order to like that character, and I do. The character kind of still sunk, but I like Tim Roth, so I excused a lot of the stuff that he did. And I really like Sam Rockwell, and I really like the idea of a competitor who is really bad at what he does. Problem is that nobody in the villain side of this movie is any good at anything. They all stink. So there's no stakes, there's no risk. If he was paired with like a stronger villain that maybe kind of puppeted him around, I would really like that character. I just really like him as an actor, and I really liked just a horrendous dork who is not good at the job he has.
He must be a great actor. Go ahead, Mike.
I do love in that Senate scene where when they turn the TV on and they're talking about how when Tony Stark hijacks the monitors and he starts showing how Iran is like 10 years behind, all these other countries are trying to catch up, and he's like, and Hammer Industries 20 years behind. He's like, how do you shut this thing off? Like that part is great when it shows, cute. And then the robot just twists and the guy just screams.
Oh yeah,
so painful.
I forgot about that. My wife winced, and I kind of, oh yeah, that's right. There's a person in there. I forgot.
Yeah, that's a Bill Tucker body horror that you like.
yeah, exactly.
I was going to say that Sam Rockwell must be a great actor, because I absolutely hate Justin Hammer in this entire movie. He's the worst character. He's such a dick. He's trying to be Tony Stark and just, like you said, failing miserably at every turn. He's just awful. I hate him.
No, he stinks. Like he is terrible, but that's why it works, because he's supposed to be terrible, and you're supposed to despise him. But I don't know. It was almost like comedy to me how bad. He's sitting there trying to pull out the HDMI cable. Like, look, there should be a power cable on it. It's a Senate room. That thing isn't affixed to the wall, I don't think. Just push it down, you bumbling idiot.
Yeah, and did you like the part when Terrence Howard walked into the Senate? Oh, wait, sorry. I mean, Don Cheadle?
In another universe.
New Rhodes?
Yeah.
New Rhodes, yeah.
They don't even say anything. They're just like, oh, good to see you. Like, they don't even comment one thing about, like, I thought there'd be some kind of joke. Like, hey, man, you lost some weight from the last time we seen you or something. Nothing.
Tony says, I didn't expect to see you here. And Rhodey says, I'm here. It's me. Deal with it. And I think that's kind of meant to be a jab.
Yeah, they don't give him much to do. I forgot how little Rhodes factors into this movie. Unless I missed something in my notes, they don't give him a lot to do. Except kind of like link things, like, oh wait, no, never mind.
You're thinking the first movie more.
Maybe I'm thinking the first. Oh yeah, that's right. He puts on a giant suit and they fight a bunch. Yeah. Forget all I said. Forget it. Remember how I always say when I'm watching these movies, I'm drinking. Sometimes things get lost. So
this movie's better while drinking. Also,
yeah, no, it was fine.
You guys said that on the last one.
Yeah,
there's a lot to do. Never mind.
There's a couple. I mean, I still like all these movies, but these are some of the lower totem pole movies of the MCU.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this is bottom third. But we'll continue on. But that's a fun scene. The Senate hearing's fun. I enjoyed it.
I forgot about a lot of that. I don't know. It just completely slipped my mind. I guess I remember paying attention, but and then like when I think that's when it and then they show at some point when they show the palladium core how it's rotting inside him. Like I thought that looked disgusting when they pull the thing out and it's just all ruined. It's like that's inside you. Like ugh.
Yeah. Pretty
cool. That's cool.
But it does play such a big part in the movie since so much of the movie is him, degrading and he thinks he's dying. So it leads to what so many other things that happen in this movie, because if you're dying, you're going to start making the change. Just as when he makes his Gwyneth Paltrow, Pepper Potts, his assistant, the CEO of Stark Industries, because he's trying to start giving away his things that he owns. Like I thought that was Gwyneth Paltrow's fine. Like I have no problem with her in this movie. I like her character more as it progresses in the MCU that I did in the first movie. Like I just like where she ends up going. And so this was all right. Like it made sense. I didn't mind her I think she's a better CEO than he was because he just seemed like a complete idiot. But, I mean, that's what they're going for. And I want to say that's when they introduce.
Go ahead.
That's things when they introduced Natalie Rushman.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just staring at my notes and then staring off into space. I just want to say one thing about Pepper is that they spend a lot of time in this movie telling us that the company is falling apart. Like everything's falling apart. Everything is going to shit. Like Pepper needs to be CEO to keep things in line. She's already running it anyway because, Tony is just flighty. But my thing is we never see it. And every time Pepper's on the phone, she's telling people that's okay. Our stock prices are still good. And, you see a couple things on the screen of pundits saying, oh, Stark Industries on the way down. But we never see this. And that's a big issue with this. Again, this is part of that Tony unraveling is what we're supposed to be seeing. But I never really see it so much. I heard about it in the panic of that whole scene where they're going back and forth and he's talking about selling the art and she's really offended. I read that as him just being a dick, like really just being self-centered and a jerk. That's how I read it. The
Iron Man thing instead of whatever was there. Yeah, I can buy that.
And when I guess in hindsight, I told myself like, okay, well, I guess this is him kind of selling everything off, doing what dying people are doing and losing hope. And realizing, I haven't done much time to live and I don't even know if I want to. And that's a very powerful idea, but it didn't come across for me. It just came across as him just being a jerk. I don't care about what you've done for me. I'm just going to hang these paintings. I know they mean a lot to you, but screw it. I'm going to do what I want. And then he makes her CEO. And it's like, okay. Yeah. But again, I can see that idea of saying I'm abdicating the throne. I'm going to make you the CEO. You've been doing it anyway. And it's neat. But I agree with you, though. Pepper doesn't have, again, a ton to do, per se, in this movie. She's more of a device moving things along.
Yeah, no, there's more to it than I guess I remember. I was only partly paying attention to this movie when I watched it, apparently. I was playing a Coin Master game on my phone. But I think that should... I mean, I enjoyed it, but I think it wasn't holding my interest. In certain parts like this, I'd be like, well, I already seen this. I just won't pay much attention. I forgot some of that. They do a good job of making him look like such a dick in this movie. Like I forgot there's some couple real dick moves.
Yeah, just a bit of a dick, and way to be committed to the show there, Michael. Way to just put all of it in there, everything in.
That's how it goes in the show. I've done over 90 episodes at this point. It's kind of just what goes along with it.
I kid. Yeah, man.
You're not wrong. But I mean, it's just like I don't know. He's just such an asshole. But at least it gets a Scarlett Johansson who's Natalie Rushman at first. Like that scene when they're in the fighting ring and he's trying to show off when she walks in and he starts punching hard. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. And then it's okay where you have Happy Hogan, who is the director of this movie, which I think is funny, and also starred, as one of the people in this movie. And then when he's trying, like when he goes to talk to Pepper Potts, and then when Scarlett Johansson goes in the ring, and I think he tries to hit her, she grabs his arm, twists his arm, and that scene still cracks me up. Like I'm like, this is awesome. I love Scarlett Johansson. Like she's just great in any movie she's in, even 8-Legged Freaks, which is a terrible movie. She's great. But I just really like her as an actress, especially thanks to these movies. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like she, for those that don't know, she plays Black Widow, which they do. That character has such an amazing arc. I feel throughout all these movies until Endgame. Like, yeah, they did some great work with that.
Yep. They definitely set her up in this with Tony, quote unquote, Googling her and saying that she speaks different language. She did some modeling, and then they show her flipping Happy onto his back. So they're kind of nodding that she's got all these underlying skills that you wouldn't think someone from legal would have.
Yeah. Paralegals aren't really good at jujitsu usually. I mean, you never know, but they're usually doing the scissor swings and all that madness. She's great. She's fantastic. I really enjoy that character, and she's good in this too. And I kept writing down. Maybe this is just me not knowing things, but I kept writing down Pappy. Is it Happy?
It's
Happy.
With an
Happy
H.
Hogan.
Happy Hogan. Okay, so I kept writing on Pappy as he's a whiskey. So clearly, you know where my brain is.
During this.
Clearly, you know where my brain was. I wrote down Pappy the whole time. Okay, Happy. Now I know.
Happy Hogan. And then I think now this is finally when they go to the racing in Monaco. I skipped a bunch earlier when I was trying to.
Yes, they did. Now they go to Monaco.
And I didn't know this was a real thing, apparently. And I didn't even know Monaco was a city-state.
Oh God, yeah. Grand Prix is usually raced, not usually. A lot of Grand Prix is raced in streets. It's all street racing, and they close the streets and they race through the streets of whatever city they're in. Yeah, no, it's really incredible.
Oh, and there's one line I wanted to mention, but I completely forgot. Back in the Senate, when Tony Stark is walking out of the Senate after he's being an ass, he's like, one thing you always count on me is to pleasure myself, or something like that. It's just it's perfect Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. It's just hilarious. Like,
very good.
It cracked me up. Unfortunately, I didn't write it down.
Did you notice in the previous scene when Black Widow asked for his fingerprint, he rubs the boxing glove into the ink and puts that on the paper?
Oh,
he's still wearing the gloves when he does it.
I thought he did that, but it was like, I've never boxed, but does like the thumb pop out? I really did have that moment.
It was the actual glove.
That's funny. That's funny.
I guess it also like that wouldn't accomplish anything.
No, but it's something Tony Stark would do.
Yep, it's not legally binding, but hey, you know what? It's all good.
And then
Monaco
he hires her right after that, and then when you get to Monaco, you see that she's working for him now. And Pepperell like, when did this happen? He's like, I need a new assistant.
Yeah,
which again makes him look like an ass because he hired her just because she's sexy. Like it's like, oh, it fits Tony Stark. I'm like, they're really selling you being an asshole in this movie. Like they're good at it.
Well, I'm sure Nick Fury knew what he was doing sending her in there for that.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's... I love when they finally do the reveal on that. Like, oh, yeah, Nick Fury plans so much of this movie, it's great. But Monaco is... when they're in, like, when he's in the bar, like, that's when he sees Hammer again. I do like that scene. He's like, get me out of here. I don't... Like, we're best friends. And you're like, no, we're not. Like, I love... That scene is hilarious with him and Sam Rockwell.
My least favorite person there, Justin Hammer.
Yes, there he is in the same place. And isn't I'm trying to remember the guy's name, the Tesla guy, Elon Musk shows up.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is, and he just kind of like shows up and has a few words. There's lots of smart people cameos in this, especially in these scenes. Earlier with in the expo, I think it was the CEO of Oracle shows up.
Oh,
right, yeah.
He calls him Mr. Oracle, and the only reason I know that is because he called him Mr. Oracle, I'm assuming. But he looked like a real person, didn't look like an actor. I'm assuming he's like the CEO of Oracle. But there's lots of like references to just geniuses, and Elon Musk evidently is one.
Larry Ellison is the guy you're talking about.
Who's that?
Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle.
All right.
And the off-screen inspiration for Robert Downey Jr.'s rendering of Tony Stark.
Oh, interesting. Okay, very cool. But yeah, so we're in Monaco in the bar, and Hammer is just being, being Hammer. You are no good at anything, sir. Like, how did you even get a government contract? Like, how did that work?
That's what I wondered too.
And we got the return of Christine Everhart, the reporter from the first movie.
Yeah, there she is.
There's some funny. I like to dude, she's doing a spread on me. Oh, she did one last year for me too. Like it's
and she wrote a story.
Yeah, that was funny. Like, I mean, more showing him as an asshole, but it was funny.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Very good.
I was fine with that. And I like it when Tony Stark does go down to the racing and he shows him on TV getting in the car. The driver throws the helmet.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be interviewing Hammer. She's like, yeah, I gotta go. He's like, no, did you get that? Keep right. And she's like, fuck you, I'm done. Walks away.
Yeah.
I love that. Nobody cares about Hammer.
yeah, hey, Hammer, there's something really important going on that's way more important than you. That's a big deal. What do you guys think about that? Tony Stark jumping behind the wheel of the car. What do you guys think about that?
It just felt like another thing that he's like, well, I'm dying anyway. I might as well have some fun first.
Right. It's just that kind of fatalistic, well, I'm heading down the tubes, which again is interesting, but I never felt it. I had to think about it. Like in the time of the movie, I'm kind of like, okay, so you're just going to be Mr. Badass again, showing off. And I don't know why I didn't feel it during the movie. And then after thinking about it, going, oh, okay, this is kind of this fatalistic, just on this train of self-destruction he's going through. I don't know. It might have just been me just missing it, or the movie not really telling or showing it at all.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of reference it in a later scene during the birthday scene where he asks Natasha, if this is your last night and your last birthday you're going to spend, how would you do it? And she says, I'd basically do whatever I wanted. So I think he's been kind of living that up until this point.
Yeah. That's true. I guess at this point of the film, I still was reading things as jerkface. And again, I don't know if the film did a good enough job of cementing his descent, because a descent into a fatalistic mindset looks the same as just being a dick, especially if you've been set up as an egotistical jerk. That's kind of what he is. A bit of a heart, but even at this point, all this time, he's just stoking his ego, or it looks like. There's never anything in the movie that really telegraphs his emotional descent, other than the fact that he's having this issue with the toxicity, which you assume he's a smart guy. He'll figure it out at some point. And have we had that moment with Jarvis when Jarvis is telling him, hey, you've gone through every permutation you've gone through everything. Nothing's worked. Have we got to that point yet? I don't even know.
I think it was earlier or later. I can't remember.
I know Tony says that. Tony says that to Fury later. I actually don't remember Jarvis.
Yeah, no, Jarvis does say it. Bill's 100% right. I think it was earlier, before the Senate scene when Pepper popped the CEO. I want to say it's in there.
Oh, you might be right. Okay. I don't know. That was just something for me. So for me, that read weird, but now in hindsight, that's better. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Again, he's just being a fatalistic. Why not? I've never driven an F1 car before. Let's just drive it and see how it happens.
I feel like they wouldn't let you do that, even if you owned it. I'm like, no, get away from
they
here.
Would not. They wouldn't. And I don't think you can buy the entire city of Monaco. Or, that kind of hand wave doesn't exist. So, but it does make for a pretty cool scene of him driving around and fast driving. That's fun. And you get to see it from his perspective, which doesn't
last long. That driving scene is really short before Vanko is walking on the side dressed up as security, and then you start
stupid. How did you get the jumpsuit? Who let you in? Look, I know a little bit about how these things work, like pit crews and the security. On my other blogging five years ago, I got to cover superbikes at the F1 track in Austin. And it's really cool, but there's so many layers preventing you from getting anywhere, like so many credentials that you need to get anywhere near the side of the track like that. And I'm sure the 10 Stones guy, unless they got 10 Rings guy, got him that kind of access. It was so stupid. I kind of really someone's gonna let you. Go ahead, sorry.
How did I even know to go to Monaco in the first place? Like, why not go straight to America where he knows Tony is? Like, go to the expo. Right. Why Monaco?
And how did he know that Tony be driving the car?
Yeah, because the pit crew wouldn't have done you any good if he wouldn't have gotten that car. You would never have gotten access to where he was. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, kind of like how World War I started. If everything just happened just right, if he takes a wrong turn down this street, I got him in the sandwich shop. Like, it's the same idea of really dumb things happening, but it kind of doesn't work.
Unless his idea was just to make a scene and Tony would show up, but like, how did he get there in the first place?
Honestly, with Whiplash, someone could just shoot the fucker in the normal way he is, and you'd be problem solved. Like when he does end up breaking out and he starts torching the cars with his whips, and the whole jumpsuit just evaporates and he's naked, halfway naked. I mean, you think somebody would have been shooting him. Like, where's a cop going, all right, if I just aim a bullet in the back of his head, problem solved. Shoot him in the leg. Like, it
you're right.
Doesn't.
Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone with guns in your hand, because it's Monaco during F1. You know there's a bunch.
I mean, does Monaco ban guns?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I do know that there's about 100,000 people attend these F1 races, and I don't know how many Monaco fits, but somebody's got to have a firearm somewhere that may just take a couple shots. Maybe after he slashes the first car in half. It's just so stupid. That really irked. That was the first time in this movie that I was irked. Like, look, okay.
I wasn't irked before. I'm irked a lot more now that we talked about it. I'm like, you're right. That doesn't really make sense.
It was ridiculous.
I didn't think about it.
And again, I'm not a racing fan. I just happen to know a little bit about this because I've done some coverage. But guess what, guys? Hey, fellas. Just in case you didn't know, you can't just sashay onto the track of a running race when cars are going 200 and change miles per hour. Like that is not.
You mean you can't just open the gate and walk in like he did?
You see, that's funny because you can act. Those racetracks have gates, and there's a thing called there's a track that where it's like the medical track. So that way, like if there's an incident, there ambulances can actually go in and then they can go out and take care of the thing. So that is a thing, but you can't just flick that lever open and walk out into this track. God, so stupid.
But can you drive through a barrier and then dodge around oncoming F1 racers?
No, you can't do that either. Those cars.
What if the director of the movie is driving the car?
Well, okay, if that's the case, and the people are actors.
And also that scene when the car turns around and causes a huge explosion. Man, if I'm driving a car going 200 miles per hour and there's a guy with 2 electrified whips trying to kill cars, I think I'm just going to drive into him I would just drive at him. Like, I'd be like, you know what? I'm just going to hit you, kill you, and then my car will do whatever. I got airbags, I'm sure. Like, he turns around and blows himself up, kills himself and other people. Just hit the guy.
Yeah, you know what? Take your chances. There's just 2 whips. And you're going 200 miles an hour. Like you may beat the odds. My odds are with the crazy Russian guy who just built the thing. Can
you swing a whip when a car is going 200 miles an hour? Like that's my other question. Like I don't think he's going to hit you.
Yeah, there's so much to dine on in this particular scene because it's all. I will say, happy driving opposite traffic is really cool. I like car chases when they do that. I think it's very, very fun, very visceral. It's unrealistic because guess what? Those cars, when they take those turns, are still going about 100 miles an hour. Like they're not slowing down. It's like there's this one scene where he takes a hard right turn and another F1 car takes that hard left. And I'm like, that's not the line he would take. Like, that's just not going to happen. None of this makes sense. Just doing this, try to get a rise out of me, and I'm not getting a rise.
The rule of cool.
It is. Ooh, I like that. The rule of cool.
It's from TV Tropes.
Is it? I've never watched a TV trope, so.
Oh no, it's a website.
Yeah. I know of it, but I've never watched
so
it.
Good.
But did you like the suitcase? Obviously suitcase that like, hey, we're not even gonna hide what we are.
I know.
Football.
That was. It was cool, but at the same time, you think it would have been a little more like hidden, not obvious what it was. He's carrying around an Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree with that. I thought the exact same thing. Like, oh, that's the Iron Man briefcase. I think the first time I saw it, I was surprised. To be honest, again, growth, but
2010.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was surprised, but I don't know if I like. Again, you know how I was talking about last time where I love the way the suit kind of articulates and clicks and clacks and gears. Remember, like I was saying,
yeah,
all the servos and whizzos and all that fun stuff that make the suit is really fun. This one, I don't know. Again, this turns into like that fish scale. It's a little too slick. I didn't enjoy it as much as the kind of the older Iron Man suit. It didn't bug me, but it was, it was fine.
It wasn't the. And this one's supposed to be a very quick model, which like my wife had brought up when she was watching this. She's like, doesn't he have like later movies like liquid and stuff? I'm like, yeah, nanomachine. Like I'm like, they get there. This is early Tony Stark. But like he just like and that whole scene like when they're driving the car into Vanco and they're just hitting them with the car, and I want to be like, yeah, he wouldn't be okay because he's just a normal human. He's nothing really. He's just smart. Like you would have been done. Like I've never been hit. I've been hit by a car like. Barely and knocked off my bike, but being hit and pushed into a wall by a car and he's gunning it, like you are not going to be okay.
Right. That's a very good point. He's not a superhero. He's not like medically enhanced.
No.
He's just a crazy Russian guy with some psycho whips. Which I mean, we can pause on the whips a bit. Those things are cool. I like those a lot.
I don't like Whiplash in general, but this version of Whiplash isn't even Whiplash, so I'm coming from the comics and it irritated me. But I mean, it did look cool when he slices the car in half and he slices the door in half as they're keep hitting him with the car. But it was cool. I guess the wall was made out of pillows, so it didn't hurt him as much. But I mean, I like how he gets the suit and he kicks the car away. Like the suit being put on did look cool, and I like the fact that it's a weaker suit, so it's getting just degraded by the whips. As the whips wrap around it, and it's just destroying the suit as he's. I wasn't so sure about him grabbing the whip and pulling himself in, and I mean it looked cool, but I'm like, you probably wouldn't be okay. But it is what it was. It was still a cool scene as he blasts them, and then then all the cops show up finally. Once the guy's on the ground, then the cops come in. I'm like, you think they would have been somewhere involved, like just shoot the guy. Like they wouldn't have. I feel like this is a situation where it wouldn't have been we have to arrest him. I think it would have been shoot him in the leg, disable him. He's killing people. But,
yeah, they show up like the friend who shows up to your move, 3 hours after everyone started. It's like, hey guys, I'm here to help. What can I do? And you're like, got a lamp. I don't know. it's like you didn't. I see what you're trying to do. I see. Michael, what did you think about the kind of like the design of Ivan and his whips?
The whole reveal is cool. Like Mike had mentioned, how it kind of burns away. It's a really cool effect, and then, like you said, slicing the cars up is it's very comic booky as it should be.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool visual. I think one of the biggest things you learn with this, and I can't remember if he gets more tools at the very end. We'll talk about it, but right now he has a very limited verb set. Like he doesn't have much to do. Like he doesn't have many methods of attack. He literally has whips. And whips. That's really all he's got. He doesn't have much at this point, which is why these fight scenes seem very short. And that's another big note. These fight scenes are short. Like they are over before they start, which again, I think that's fine depending on the type of movie you're doing. I'm not the biggest fan of this overdrawn, beating each other. And speaking of overdrawn, we'll talk about Warhammer and Iron Man. That's slugfest. But it just didn't seem like the balance was right.
Yeah, well, I don't think he came in intending to win this fight because even after he's beaten, he tells Tony that he loses.
He lost.
And when we see them talking in the next scene in the jail cell, he says, if you can make God bleed, then people won't believe in him. There'll be blood in the waters and the sharks will come.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't intend to win.
Fair. Very fair. And that's actually one of my favorite lines in the movie, because that really does cement the real threat that he's trying to do is he's just trying to ruin him. He's not trying to kill him. I mean, if that happened to be great. He wants to ruin him and his legacy, which is a good motivation if your villain is any good at it. He is not.
It does. It shows that, like, one thing it does show, as they mentioned earlier, how all these countries are so far away from making the arc reactor, making these suits, and here's somebody who made it. And that was, I guess, this whole idea, too, to show that other people can do this, that it's going to keep happening. And again, it never shows, though, any effectiveness of it. Like, you can make a really great weapon and not know how to use it. Right. You can make the coolest thing. You can make a car that goes 300 miles an hour, but if nobody knows how to drive it, well, what's the point? Or you can put a rocket on the back of your pickup truck and blow up.
You could do that. So that's why
I forgot what year that was. Some idiot did that.
Yeah, I don't remember. But that's the thing for me in this is that you have all these cool ideas, and that's a very good idea. Like, hey, I'm gonna ruin you, as opposed to kind of just kill you or something basic like that. I want the legacy to go away. Fine, but you need someone who seems capable at it, and no one is, and that's my biggest problem with it. So yeah,
it's not the best villain, as we've said multiple times. It's really not. He's a shitty villain. Whiplash, I think, is shitty to begin with, so I don't think it was just this.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was a lot of pieces and parts that weren't good to begin with, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, because I know back when this movie came out, they didn't really specify that it was Whiplash. I mean, it is Whiplash, sort of, what you see at the whip, but yeah. And also, like, in the scene where he's in jail and Tony goes talking, what we were just talking about, like, I also thought it was stupid how he tells Ivan, but I mean, or whatever the hell his name, Vanko, it does fit. It fits Tony's heart, where he's like, if you did this with the whip, if you did this, it would have worked a lot better with the power coupling and everything. And also, my big question: why the fuck would they let him into a room with a prisoner with no guard? Like, here you go, Tony. You paid us a lot of money. Go in that room. Like, they would not have let him in that room alone. That bothered me.
No.
I think the answer to both of those questions is just Tony's ego. Like, he's telling him that he could have done better because he's just going to assume this guy's going to rot in jail now. He's done. He won. And then as far as the shot goes, like, no one can touch him on his best day, as he puts it in the expo at the beginning. So, like, he doesn't see this guy as a threat anymore, basically.
Which is such a cringe line. I mean, I'm not to go back to that expo, but oh my goodness, no one can beat me on my best day. What? Listen, hey, writers, y'all can just edit that out. Like, you don't need to keep that. That's fine. That's a placeholder. Cool. I'm down, but man, woof. That is not great. Yeah, man. Anyway, I mean, the jail scene was fine. Jail thing is cool. It's kind of, again, Tony doesn't realize how connected this guy is. Jesus, I didn't know how connected this guy is. You know, so I'm sitting there thinking, all right, well, that's that for him. Again, obviously the first time. But then we get to do we get to the breakout yet? I can't remember. No,
that's the next. Yeah, I think that's the next scene.
Oh yeah, the next scene is the breakout.
It takes a long time to get there.
Even he was more connected than he thought, because after Hammer saw what he did on TV, he orchestrates this elaborate breakout, giving him C4 mashed potatoes and
that was great.
A dead body double.
I like the body double part when he walks in. He looks at he looks at the number on his jumpsuit. He looks over at him, and then he just beats the shit out of him real fast. Like that was funny. Like, I'm like, okay. And then he blows up, and it was kind of weird. I mean, I this is when you first see Hammer really as a villain, when you realize this guy is, because he orchestrates the whole thing. It's a weird little scene. I mean, it works for me. Like, it's still kind of cool how they put the bag over his head, rush him out, and then they throw him in the back of a van and take him away.
Well, at that point, you don't really realize it's Hammer, right? I don't.
No,
think
not until
you don't know until he shows up in the hangar.
Yeah, at the end of that scene,
and has dinner, has a fine meal in the middle of an airplane hangar. But that's the breakout was weird for me because again, it felt very contrived. It was kind of all the pieces had to be in place. Like, for example, did the guy giving him dinner, did he realize his mashed potatoes were a scooch on the heavy side? And like, did he realize that? Was he in on it? You know, like, hey, you know, extra butter in this, I guess. I don't know. Again, contrived. It seemed just like, you don't know whose fingers are behind it, so you kind of run with it. It also seemed kind of weird that he was not confused at all. Like, Ivan was like, so wait, so why are you here? Like, you know, kind of like put the, and he hands the thing and it's got this number on it. And like, he immediately realizes, oh, an explosive, obviously. Cool. Great. I know exactly what to do with all these things. It's fine though. I hand wave a lot of that just for the sake of it. It was neat.
You have to.
He's some level of genius if he built the arc reactor.
Fair. Yeah, he should. Yeah, very true. He should have some sort of logic, logical ability to put two and two together.
Yeah, smart people doing smart things like you like in movies.
Yeah, but it's with stupid stuff. It's stupid things.
I actually have that in my notes for a later scene.
Is that going to be a running theme through this entire series?
It could be.
Like, smart people doing smart stuff. I like it. Yeah, it's fine. I really dug, again, maybe this is just me being weird. I really thought it was very cool how he snaps the guy's neck because it was very animalistic. It just had this very violent, like, and then obviously he's been violent with his weapons and with his whips and all that. That's fine. But man, him just like kind of snapping the guy's neck had like an animalistic shock value. Like, ooh, okay, this guy, okay, he's really kind of unhinged. I like that. I thought it was very effective. And then they go to Hammer and they have a nice lunch.
I like how he's like, I got this ice cream imported from America, even though we're in Italy. They make great ice cream. Like, my wife laughed so hard at that. She was like, wait a minute, you got Italian ice cream imported from San Francisco. That's what you just did. That's what you did. But it fit Hammer and it fit Sam Rockwell.
Perfect.
That character.
It was perfect. It was great. He's such a dork.
I wonder how much of stuff he did in this movie was him just adding his own thing. It felt like that in this movie. It felt like him really playing himself.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a good scene. It's a good moment. And again, it just shows, again, I don't know why I like him so much, even though he's so detestable. Just, again, he's just a dork.
He does a good job with it. He does a really, like, he's one of the better parts of this movie is Sam Rockwell.
I agree.
He does a very good job dancing around, acting like an idiot, making you hate him at times. Like, he does a great job of it.
He's he has a great performance. Yeah, and of a detestable character. Dorky people, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, a perfect antithesis to who Tony Stark is. So.
Yeah.
And this is the
I
point
really
too.
like that.
I just want to know too. My wife pointed this out, so I'm gonna mention it. His hands are so spray tanned, like clearly horrendously spray tanned. Like he turns his hands and it is like 8 shades different. So my wife wants to know who spray tanned him. If that was purposeful, like did he as a dork spray paint his hands but not underneath? Or I thought that was going to be good enough.
Yeah, I'm sure he did it himself.
He did it himself, right? He just he couldn't have gone to a salon with all his money. He just did it himself in his bathroom. I don't know. My wife pointed out the spray tan, and it made me laugh. So here you are.
I didn't catch that, but I wasn't paying enough attention. I feel it in some certain parts.
I'm sure no one caught that. That's
No.
sometimes a little attention.
It's cool though.
But that's a decent scene. Oh, and one other thing too. Damn it, I wrote this down, so I'm gonna say it. I apologize, and I'll let somebody else talk. Where does he keep getting these toothpicks? Who on the plane? He has a toothpick. He's sitting there at the table. He had a bag on his head. Did they hand him a toothpick with the bag on his head? He always has a freaking toothpick in his mouth.
And nobody would have given a murderer a toothpick.
Right. He just snapped someone's neck. He could be lethal with that toothpick. Unlikely.
Maybe it was supposed to be like it should have been a cigarette. A cigarette would have made sense because I could see them giving you a cigarette sometime in certain situations. Like it would, this is 1970s. He would have had a cigarette. Like, okay, have a last smoke before we arrest you. All right, but that would have made more sense. Like maybe that's what they were going for, to have him. They wanted something in his mouth, so the only thing they think of was a toothpick. I don't know. It just seems stupid.
And honestly, stuff like that's nitpicky. I get it, right? But it's something that bit like spray tan hands. That's nitpicky, whatever. I get it, but toothpick, every scene he has it. Like every scene he's got one in his mouth. So it distracted me. And yes, it's nitpicky. It's nitpicky. I get it, but it distracted me. And I just felt really weird. And it kind of brought me out again. Like, goddamn toothpick. All right. Anyway,
when you
go home.
The dumbest scene of the movie, the party.
Oh, okay. Yeah, is this the party?
I think the party's next.
We have a little scene of Hammer showing Ivan the suits.
I love this so much.
And Ivan just say, "Can we give him some encrypted passcodes?" And then Ivan says, "Software shit." That amazing Russian accent. It's so good.
Very good.
It's just more of Hammer trying to be in control and everyone just walking all over him. It's like, yeah, they're this much money a pop, and he just pulls the head right off of it, the helmet.
Okay, you're right.
And Sam Rockwell does this thing which I really dig. He's always talking. Because he's always muttering something. So he's going, for example, there's $68 million. But okay, sure, yeah, just take that head off. It's fine. Kind of do that, and then just get through that firewall. That's fine.
That he's still in control.
Yes,
even though he's clearly not.
Exactly, he's constantly muttering because that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to regain control or regain his face.
Or he's like, that's what I wanted you to do. Thanks.
Oh, well, great. Yeah, clearly you guys broke through our firewalls. Okay, get this guy some encrypted passwords. Could you just just didn't need to do that. It's fine. You didn't need that. It's good. We'll just keep on going. You're right. He's reining in constantly. It's so good. Love it.
I agree with that. I forgot about that part, but yeah, that was a cool scene where he showed the whole reason why he saved him was to have him make Iron Man suits for him to show off and win a contract from the military.
Right.
That was cool. Okay. And then I think now we get to the shitty scene of the movie. I could have done without the party scene. This is when I really got annoyed with the movie. And this is I also asked myself, because at first he seems normal. He's dressing up. He asked Scarlett Johansson what he should wear, has him grab something, and he makes a comment about what would you do if this was your last birthday party. She's like, I would do whatever I wanted or something like that. Yeah. And I was thinking, okay, did she drug him or something? Because he goes from being normal, he's drinking his martini, and I'm like, there's no way one martini is gonna fuck this guy up. And then all of a sudden, the next scene, he's wearing the Iron Man suit. It's probably been a few hours, but he's acting like a fool. He's drunk. He's peeing in his suit. And I'm just like, did they drug him? Did they I was waiting for some kind of line, like, yeah, we slipped something in his drink to make him act like more of an idiot. But that one line sets him off, make a complete fool of himself. I didn't like it.
He does say later on when Pepper's trying to get him to wind down, he said the party for him ended an hour and a half ago. So I think that's supposed to mean some kind of time has passed.
Okay.
But I saw the scene more as showing off classic Tony Stark, like in the comics where he was the raging alcoholic. I think it was kind of felt like a nod to that more than anything.
I didn't like it.
I caught it. I read it as him just getting hammered, just because he gets the martini, and then as soon as she says that, he downs the entire thing.
Right.
And then that tells me tonight I am going to get destroyed. I have made a conscious decision, and I know that not to get super. I've done this. I've made the conscious decision tonight. I'm going to get destroyed, and I don't care what happens. And that's what happened. He gets fatalistic, and he gets. I read that as, oh yeah, tonight I'm just gonna get destroyed. Did anyone kind of cringe when DJ AM was on the stage?
I didn't know who it was.
I didn't know who it was either. Is he a real person?
He died of a drug overdose a few years ago.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. Was it suicide or a drug overdose? No, I'm going to check. Hang on a second.
Google will tell you.
I know Tony refers to him by name at one point, but yeah, I didn't know it was an actual person.
He's an actor. I didn't even realize it was another cameo.
Yeah, no, DJ AM, I'm pretty sure he's very dead. Oh yeah, he had committed attempted suicide. Yeah, overdose. He died in 2009. So yeah, when I saw that, it was like, oh, my wife both and I went, oh, that's kind of chilling. Not intentional, obviously, by the film. He died, 10 years ago now. But yeah, not fun. Oh, and actually, here you go. Here's a neat little nugget of. So the DJ AM Memorial Fund, an organization designed to help people struggling with drug addiction, was launched in his memory by his sister, and Iron Man 2, which was released in 2010, was dedicated to him. So he died before the movie was released.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So a little chilling when he's in there, and so.
That is pretty chilling.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't realize that last bit. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
I also didn't. Yeah, I thought just some random actor in this movie. Like I didn't even realize it was a person that.
Oh yeah,
was somebody.
Yeah, world famous DJ, like world famous. Well, yeah. So.
That shows you how much attention I pay and stuff like that.
I don't like the scene. I don't like it at all. It leads into a very boring slugfest, which it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots slugfest.
Yeah, everything with this scene is stupid. Where they're throwing the bottles and he's shooting them is stupid. Like there is nothing good about any of this part coming up. Like
you can show this desperation. Excuse me. You can show this desperation better and more effective because it's kind of sad, and I don't think it's framed supposed to be sad. I read it as sad, and I don't think that was intentional.
It's just sad.
Like, yeah, I found it very sad, and then I don't know if that's intentional or not. I don't know, just didn't like it. It didn't work. The pacing was weird. It didn't have the jokes didn't land. Him peeing in his suit was just so juvenile and stupid.
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's really.
You could drink the water. Like that wasn't necessary either.
That was
all
ridiculous. Pepper then coming in trying to stop him and talk him down, and then of course Rhodes goes in, and there's a scene before that we kind of skipped over, but that's fine, where Rhodes actually learns about where we get the download in the story about Ivan. We kind of get all the exposition about who he is, and he's Tony Stark and all his dad, whatever. But when Rhodes comes in, that's fine. When Rhodes comes in and says, "I'm going to break this party up," you could have just called the cops. Right, you're an army person, right? You're connected. You could just bring in some people and say, "Get out!" But no, he shows up as War Machine, puts on the suit, and then starts fighting drunken Tony Stark, who clearly is still pretty good at fighting, even though he is hammered beyond belief, where he probably doesn't know where he is. And I hate this fight a lot.
He does have more experience with the suits than Rhodey would. For all we know, this is the first time he's put it on.
Which is weird. Again, I wrote that down too. Like, how do you know how to use this machine? Like, have you ever put this on? He just takes off at the end. We'll get to it. Which is like, how do you know how to fly it? How is it that intuitive where anybody can just walk into Tony Stark's suit? And Jarvis says, "Here, come on in. It's fine. Yeah, clearly you're not Tony Stark." I think they explained that later.
They do.
He gave some clearance.
Line.
Yeah, they explained that. I just really don't like this fight. It's slow. I do like this one piece I like where War Machine hits him with the kitchen sink. It literally hits him with a sink. That's very funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
What'd you guys think of it as far as just a battle?
This poor Malibu house. There's like between the scene and the later scene, there's just nothing left of it at the end. It's amazing there's anything to blow up in 3. Well, yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I mean, but I'm sure something explodes in 3. It's fine.
Yeah, things explode.
That's the movie.
But yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, it's fine.
I liked Rhodey in this scene though. When he walks in, he says, "I'm only going to say this once. Get out." It just feels like kind of a badass moment for him. Which
that is pretty good.
After the first movie of him not being able to do anything, he kind of earned it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's very fair. He's finally had enough enough is enough. I've had enough of you, even though we're buds. Yeah, I get that. That's fair. I just thought the kinesthetics of the fight weren't great. It's just, again, I don't like when two big iron people are just smacking each other, like punching each other and such. It just didn't. Again, stakes are low, right? But again, in this situation, neither one of them are going to die or, quote unquote, lose. So.
I mean, but it has that key scene where they shoot each other and they find out that their laser beams connect and make that big blast.
There is that.
It's all foreshadowing, kind of like in the first movie where they talk about the whole point of the ice scene is to have it in the end fight. It's the same thing, same type of situation.
Right.
Well, we don't get a villain name drop. Tony does say, "You want to be the War Machine?" So we at least get one for the sidekick character.
Yeah. I saw. Yeah, that was fine. And again, I think in the first time I saw this movie, I didn't even know the character's name, so I probably missed that. Now I know he's War Machine, so I know that now. But yeah,
at least
fine.
They followed up what you might think is the worst scene in the movie with the best scene in the movie at the donut shop.
Love this so much.
It's the best.
Only because of Samuel Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut or something like that.
So, yes, exit the donut. Yes, he is a treasure. Samuel Jackson just belongs in a Hall of Fame or something. He is so good in this. He's just delightful. I do thought it was rather interesting where Tony acknowledges he has a hangover, although clearly doesn't look like he does. So he should be in a hospital after that kind of behavior.
Or jail.
Yeah.
Oh, and one other thing too, before we move on to this, I just want to read a quick thing. I don't like how War Machine just takes off with his suit and takes off with stolen property and hands it to the military. Like, that can't be okay.
Yeah. I just saw it as Tony's like, if he's going to die, he's going to let Rhodey keep on the legacy. At least he'll know that someone's out there trying to.
That's fair.
Spread peace.
But
yes, this morning after scene is very good. It's very good.
My notes for this scene are just a series of quotes from the scene.
By all means, please. I'd love to hear this.
Sir, please I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut. I don't want to join your super secret boy band. It's like, I don't know if I look at the patch or look at the eye. I don't know. I'm a little hungover right now. I don't even know if you're real. And Fury says, I'm the realest person you're ever going to meet.
That is so good.
So good.
And also, this is a spoiler for way later in the MCU. You see the scratch marks on his eye. If you look very closely, they already did it. There's 3 scratch marks above and below the eye patch, vaguely, but they're there.
Really?
Interesting.
Which I don't know if you've ever seen Captain Marvel or not.
I can't imagine they planned that far ahead.
I don't think they planned that far ahead. I think they just planned that it was going to be something scratching him. So they just... or the scratches were just there just to add to the effect. And they're like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
It might have not been planned. It just might have been... I highly doubt that scene was planned years this early. It was just part of the makeup for the scene, I felt like. But at least it was referenced, and it just reminded me of that. Because now I pay attention. I'm like, I'm looking, guys. I'm looking. So
that's awesome, man. That's really interesting. I wonder even if they kind of just snuck that in for like maybe like the Disney Plus release or something. I wonder if my version has that. I'll go back and take a look.
I'm pretty sure it's in every. I mean, it's very light, like you can barely tell.
Okay. But
I feel like you can see the scratch mark. They're not obvious in this movie. In some movies, they feel a little more obvious. But maybe I've been a while. But I'm pretty sure you can, if you look even Iron Man 2, even on the Blu-ray copy, you'll see like some kind of marks.
Very cool.
Maybe I'm adding to it. I'm not sure. But now that ever since Captain Marvel, I always think about that. Great movie. Can't wait to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Oh, it's fantastic.
But that scene is cool. That's when he finally finds out that Scarlett Johansson, his assistant, is actually working for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. And
she walks in. He's like, "Oh, you're fired." Delivery is so great.
It's classic Tony Stark. And I guess I have a line here when she first saw the cat suit, the thing that she's wearing. She said she had a bit of a freak out moment. Was her line about that in 2010 somewhere.
She fills it out quite nicely.
I love the Black Widow outfit. I just love Black Widow in general, and everything. As I said before, everything about Scarlett Johansson. I mean, this scene, and then you really get into Winter Soldier. Like she's great.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought that was cool. I like how they introduced that she's working for him, and they kind of show. And then you really think about how it was all Nick Fury that set up the whole drunken thing, because he knew he was dying, and he was setting up to have him have that like breakdown moment thing. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it feels like it's all part of the evaluation that we find out towards the end that she's been running on Tony this whole time. It's like a test, maybe.
Which fits the character too, that she's very, she's a spy. She's backstabby. That's her job, is to go in, infiltrate, and get information.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, I think I remember from the very, very end actually from the post-credit scene, is she was kind of doing reconnaissance on him, because they bring out the dossier, and I'm assuming that's what she was putting together.
Yes.
Right.
So I suspect she was really kind of putting him through his paces to see, could this guy be an Avenger? So, but we'll get to that final scene in a bit.
And I want to say in this scene, he says, "I have to go" or something at the end of the donut. Like, is that this scene or that later?
No,
like,
that's back in Malibu, or back at the house.
Oh, well, we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, this scene is just they give him is a kind of treatment for the palladium poisoning, and then Fury says that. Crap! What the hell does happen in this scene?
Well, he gives him the treatment.
Yeah,
and I want to say they tell him he has to create an element or something. He's like, "I tried everything." He's like, "You haven't tried everything," or something like that.
Right. They basically tell him that there is a cure, but it doesn't exist in his universe yet, which also kind of signals to the fact that there are other places out there. There are the Asgards and things like that. So it's like an element that doesn't exist on this planet, but you can make one with some duct tape and some tubes in your Malibu house.
I do like that scene when he goes back to the Malibu house and it's all broken. They're like, "You can't leave until this is done." And Phil Coulson is like, "Well, if you try to leave, I'll shock you and watch you drool and watch some show rerun or something like that." That was
Super
fun.
Nanny.
Super Nanny.
Yeah.
Watch Super Nanny while you drool into the carpet.
I like Phil Coulson so much.
He is pretty great.
It's a good scene. And then they show the whole thing where he's trying to put together the element, and because they bring him the box of Howard Stark stuff, he's watching the little movies, and then he realizes that which I didn't understand how the hell he put this together, but the whole expo was set up to be like an element or an atom.
This is extraordinarily far-fetched. And then we actually missed a scene where we go back to the armory. And the only reason I want to go back to the armory is because it's got Sam Rockwell in it. And I just love dining on on how bad he is as everything. They go to arm the war machine.
Oh yeah.
And,
okay, no, please talk. I forgot about this.
I knew there was a hammer scene because I just have a line that says "hammer is the worst" in my notes, so I just can't remember which one.
I dined on this a little bit. I didn't pause it or anything, but it's first off, it's him feeling extraordinarily confident when he shouldn't.
Yeah,
he does the classic scene. He does basically the scene from Taxi Driver when the salesman comes into the apartment. He's showing him the guns, and they get progressively bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's got that almost that energy where he's just trying to be this like slimy sales guy. First, he hands him a 9mm. Oh, War Machine's gonna do great with the 9mm. That's like his sidearm, of course. And he's going through it, and it's just gun porn at that point. It's like modern warfare gun porn, where it's at this caliber and this velocity of bullets, and it was just such a weird scene. But again, Sam Rockwell makes it work because he is wonderful in this movie. And of course, at the very end, the army says what army people say is, "Which ones you want?" And the army guy says, "All of it." All of it, including the 9mm, in case he, gets out of the suit. He needs a little sidearm to.
I do like the ex-wife when he has the big rocket thing that's supposed to be, which they'll get into later, but he's like, "Oh, I got this missile. I call it the ex-wife," and they're like, "Oh, they put it on the suit."
It'll bust the bunker below the bunker that you just busted through. They're trying to set up a Chekhov's gun that may or may not pay off at the end of the movie.
It's extremely good. Oh yeah, and that scene, the payoff, the final fight is so wonderful. It's great. Everything about it, and that's why I want to bring it up, because it does tie into the final fight when we'll get there. And
I'm glad you mentioned it. I just forgot about it.
No, it's great. And again, it's just Sam Rockwell being a dork and being way too into the stuff that and it actually does show, though, that final little bullet that's supposed to blow up the bunker below the bunker. It actually looks at you like, ooh, that's actually pretty cool. Maybe you are good at something other than being bad at everything. And of course, that proves to be not true. So anyway, so you can go back now to where am I?
Back in Malibu.
House.
Back in Malibu. This is all good. I think it's a little contrived about how the center of the fair is supposed to be the atom. It's fine. And did we miss the part when he actually gets the cardboard? That useless scene. when he's talking about
that's
her?
a little bit after this is when he
Is it?
he finds out about the isn't it?
It is. It
so
is.
we're in Malibu, and Fury's leaving him with the thing, and this is when he says he has to go off and do something, and Coulson's in charge. And then there's apparently another scene with Hammer, because I just have a note that says Hammer is still the worst. And then Tony goes to see Pepper.
Right.
I think the scene you're talking about is where Hammer is talking to Vanko again, and he finds out that he pulled out the heads, or that he made them into drones.
Oh, yeah, the
and he gets all
drones.
upset.
Right.
That's what that you're
I believe
referencing.
you're right.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm thinking I'm confused then. So yeah, so that makes sense. So yeah, because Tony Stark is kind of going through his old dad's notes. He's kind of learning. We're learning about his dad was cold and dark, and he's not that kind of not that perfection that people know him to be. I like that because that's one of the harder things I think in life, when you realize that your dad is, especially for a guy, your dad is not your hero. Like, he's not the hero you thought he was, because I think all little kids look up to their dads, or, that's just kind of the way it works. And when you realize your dad is not a hero, it is a sad moment when you realize, he wasn't this paragon of perfection. So I thought that was pretty well done. And I do like the fact his dad talks to him through the video. That's pretty neat. So kind of like a little hidden thing. My thing was like, nobody noticed that. Like, nobody played this video to the end and saw this like this note to his son. But I handled it.
It's just been sitting in a S.H.I.E.L.D. warehouse for however long.
This is a very good point. Yes, could be sitting at. You're right. It's a very sitting in a S.H.I.E.L.D. warehouse. Yes.
Top men working on it. Top men.
Top men working on this. Yes. And then now we get to the Tony when he visits Pepper and gives her strawberries that she doesn't like.
She's allergic to.
She's allergic. That's right. This scene sucks. I don't like the scene at all. It goes nowhere.
I just like the line. She's like, "There is only one thing on this planet I'm allergic to: strawberries." Like, I knew there's a reason I remember strawberries.
Some sort of correlation.
Yeah, I don't like the scene at all. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. It's more Tony being an asshole, which is this movie is very, very good at doing.
Yeah, and it's just a device for him to get the map of the fair from back in 1960. Which, why would you store that in the CEO's office?
You wouldn't.
Not a place. Of course you wouldn't. It's senseless. That's why it's there. But I just don't like the scene at all. And it's kind of goes nowhere. He just mutters. She makes fun of him.
It's not necessary.
No, it's not necessary at all. Natalie comes in again. Why? I don't know. To get a reaction.
Just to make the comment where he kind of almost like he says something and she gets mad at him, like, "Hey, you're gonna blow my cover," or something like that.
Are you walking in well?
Yeah.
That is your real name, right, Natalie? Such an ass.
Again, just an ass, making it really hard for us to really feel his drama. The drama of him dying, the drama of him figuring out his daddy issues, right? It's always got to have another. I almost rhymed snark. It's a Stark snark. You gotta have another Stark snark in there. I guess lighten things up, because at this point in the movie, it's dragging. Like, this movie is now dragging hard for me, at least. There's really
you're not wrong. It gets to a part where it's just kind of like I remember enjoying this movie more, but when I was in my most recent watch of it, I was kind of starting to really fall off around this point. I was like, it was starting to lose me.
But then it's saved by smart people doing smart things.
That's my note. I have Bill Tucker approved smart guy doing smart things.
I do like how they do make a comment. He's like, "Oh, you left. You weren't supposed to leave," or something. Where I think he said he had to go, or he was busy or something.
He had to take care of something, I think he said.
Which is also either going to be the little short film, The Consultant, which we'll talk about later, or it's something to do with Thor, because Phil Coulson plays a big part in Thor.
Yes.
So
Consultant shouldn't be till after, because Tony's not a consultant yet.
Okay, so that's probably after. Yeah, so he probably has something to do with he had
You're right.
Something with Thor. But I love the part when he's I mean, it's stupid when he's, breaking holes in the wall and ripping out things. I'm like, okay, it worked. But I want to say they played another AC/DC song or something at this point.
Some sort of
some song in
rock
a
song.
Montage.
Yeah, some sort of cliche montage rock song. Again, meh. The music choices in this movie are not phenomenal.
I did enjoy Another One Bites the Dust, except when they remixed it and I was upset.
Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty neat. Actually, I don't remember that.
It's during your favorite party fight scene.
Yeah, the party.
With DJ AM, the dead guy.
Oh, right. Our dearly departed DJ AM.
My favorite thing about the music in that scene, though, is when they break the piano, the music abruptly cuts out. I'm like, that's kind of a nice touch.
Yeah, that was neat.
But I love when he's opening the case and he picks up the prototype Captain America shield and Phil Coulson like, you know what this is? Yeah, it's perfect. And he uses it as a weight. to level the thing out. And I love that because I'm like, Captain America, they're referencing.
Yeah, it was a neat reference. I like that. It was cool. It was like perfectly level. It was good. And then they turned the little triangle of the triangle MacGuffin into new elements with laser beam of some sort.
It's from the comics. That triangle becomes one of his long-lasting way he powers the suit for a long time. So it is from the comics. I assumed what it's called. Yeah,
I assumed. I didn't really know. Getting him building a centrifuge was pretty neat. I do like that at the very, very end, he goes, well, that was easy. I was like, okay.
It tastes like coconut and metal.
Yeah, that was funny. That's a very good line.
It's and then you have like when he's flipping through that notebook from Howard Stark, there's also another cameo I didn't catch until I was reading something just now, and he draws a Tesseract in that little book. You can see the Tesseract.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I
remember the cube.
Because Howard Stark was involved in the first Avenger, so he had seen the Tesseract and was involved with it, so it makes sense.
Ooh, I like that. I remember the cube being there, but I didn't piece it together. That's what it was.
They were really planning a lot of things. I mean, this movie is when they really know, like, we are going to make sequels. We are going to make Avengers. We are going to cram all the shit we can cram into to help get that there. Like, that's what this movie was doing. Like, that's the whole purpose of this movie.
There's nods to the rest of Phase 1 in this, now that we've laid it all out like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Which, one reason I liked this movie, I mean, I liked it more when I hadn't watched it in a while because I built it up more in my head. But I've realized but that's the whole purpose of so many things, like him creating the element, getting the triangle and then it heals him really, really fast. That seemed a little, I didn't like the whole blue light when the whole blue light just expands from him and all of a sudden he's like, I'm like, this is not necessary. Like, you could just have like the scars heal or, have the wound start to heal. Like, you didn't need a whole blue light to look like he became, I didn't like that. It bothered me. So I'm nitpicking.
No, it's fair. Hey, listen, if it affected your enjoyment of the film, it is valid.
It didn't affect my enjoyment. I'm just looking at it and go, that was dumb.
All right, then you're nitpicking. All right, then you're nitpicking. Sorry, just kidding.
But the other thing I want to say about that is I like when he's watching the video and you have Howard Stark doing the recording and, he's doing the different takes and then he's like, kiss my ass. And then finally,
love that.
Tony, this is for you. I know you don't understand right now, but you are my greatest creation. Like, that was the closest they show of these two having any type of like father-son relationship, because he even says earlier, like, my father never said I love you, never said I like you. Like, it gives you something what helps him lead to creating the element. I felt I was okay with it.
Yeah, he says that he's limited by the science of his time. He can't create this new thing. And I think that's why he leaves the map of the element in the expo, which is still super contrived, but
Oh yeah, I mean it is contrived, but I mean, again, it's one of those kind of figuring out his daddy issues, and it's about the best way you could probably do that, right? I can't think of a better way a film could do that, so I kind of hand wave it a bit and just say, all right, well, I can dig that. We'll move on from this. So it's not wonderful, but it's a decent device that kind of gets us where we need to go.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't hate any of this thing. I want to say this is when they find out. Oh, he gets a phone call from Vanko. Is that happens right after this? I want to say.
Yeah.
The next scene is Hammer going back to the
this is so good again,
where he takes the bird and he takes his shoes and he takes his pillows. Oh, we skipped over the I can make salute scene where he's playing golf with Senator Stern.
Oh, we did.
He's like, I need to bring them by and have a demonstration. It's like, they're not ready. So what can you make them do? I can make salute. See, what the hell does that mean?
Then have we gone to the point? Have we gone to the point where Ivan and Hammer, have we done this? No, we haven't. Where Ivan is saying he's building his stuff, and Hammer goes, it's like, so where's the head go? Where's the head? Where's the head go?
Oh yeah, that was the drone scene. That was
You see, suit no good. Drone better. So good. But yeah, so this is a scene where this is when Hammer steals his bird and takes his shoes.
Takes his shoes.
You do realize this guy was like sitting in a Russian cave somewhere watching his father die on a little 19-inch CRT tube TV, and you think taking his shoes is gonna really rattle him? Like, oh, you took my footwear. Oh no, my toes are now in the open, in the air. This is a problem.
That's Hammer, though.
It's Hammer.
In control.
In control. I got your bird. I got your shoes, and That's all I got. That's the best I can do. But at least I got that bird. That's not even really his. Not the real one.
Oh, you do like the bird.
They just like stripping Mickey Rourke in this movie. Like earlier, I didn't mention, but in the jail cell, he's sitting there like naked almost. I'm like, you think somebody would have gave him a pair of pants or something? Sit here, wear this, not just sitting here in your underwear. Like it's okay. Like it just, yeah.
If you want to just pause here real quick, what do you guys think of Mickey Rourke in this? Really haven't talked about that.
I don't have a lot of experience with him outside this movie, which I know is like a travesty because he's such a big name actor, but he does fine in this. I remember him saying, there's some article where he said that it was such a like whiplash between some indie movie he was doing at the same time as this, and they had like no budget for anything for the actors, and then he was doing this MCU movie and he's just basically pampered the whole time. It was kind of bizarre.
Was he doing The Wrestler at this time?
Wrestler's 2008.
Okay, all right. So you might have been talking about The Wrestler, which is phenomenal. The Wrestler is just top tier.
I have no interest in. I've never really seen any of his movies before, and I don't care for his movies. So I didn't.
If you haven't seen, not to get off track, but if you haven't seen The Wrestler, I could not recommend it.
Actually, I need to rephrase that. I have never seen another movie he's played in besides this one.
Okay. All right. Well,
he's in one of the Expendables, I think.
Yes,
I've only seen the first one.
Maybe two.
Wait, I did see him in that movie. Okay, I didn't.
Oh yeah, he's in the first one
either.
Okay. Yeah, he's phenomenal in The Wrestler. And if you want to just talk about people we like who do weird indie movies, Scarlett Johansson does a lot of weird stuff. Mm-hmm. She did a movie called Under the Skin. In what year was that? I'm looking at it now. 2014. It's a very polarizing movie. She says she stars in the movie. She plays, I don't want to spoil it, but she plays as she's like an enchantress almost, but she basically seduces men and then brings them into this weird black void where they drown.
Oh, weird.
And she says literally 2 lines of dialogue the entire movie, and she's the star. It's wonderful. It's very creepy, very strange. So
you have my interest.
Under the Skin, highly recommend, and The Wrestler, I recommend even higher. It is phenomenal.
It might have been 13 was the other movie he was doing in 2010 also, so that might have been the same one that he's talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks very I definitely don't recognize the name of the director there, and I'm not even trying to pronounce it.
And otherwise, it wasn't
seems very
2008. Kill Shot.
Oh, I don't know.
Who knows?
Cool. All right. Well, anyway,
I don't care for him as an actor. From the couple movies I've seen, the 2 movies I've seen, which both came out at the same in 2010, I didn't care for him. I think he's one ugly bastard for one thing.
Oh, he is not pleasant to look at, but he's just, and his movie, he's a couple of scenes where he's really subtle and really collected, which is very difficult to do when you're in kind of like this Marvel movie. Especially that this scene here when he comes and takes his bird, and I forget the line that he says, but he says something very interesting, and it's a good delivery because he's kind of laid back and he's not rattled by anybody. Mm. He's just not rattled by
completely unfazed.
Who could be rattled by Hammer? Let's be honest, right? It's like being being rattled by a 5-year-old with a toy gun. Like there's no threat. But I think he's great. I think he does a lot with the little he's asked to do, which is hard if you're the lead villain in a Marvel movie, which is the biggest problem.
Yeah, they struggled with villains. At least like so far, the first 3 movies, Iron Man villain garbage, Hulk villain garbage, this villain also garbage. Like it took them a while to get villains right.
Yeah, no, totally.
They get it right in the next movie.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Thor. I'm trying to remember who the villain is in Thor.
I mean Loki, yeah.
Oh yeah. Loki's great. We'll talk about Thor later.
Soon.
Anyway, next time.
All right, but God, where were we? So after you have the drones, I want to say this is the part where then he gets a phone call from Vanko.
This is the phone call.
Because that scene is cool. Like when Vanko's on the phone and he's like, "You were right, Tony. I upped the voltage," or whatever the hell he said. And in the background, you can see the 2 men hanging. You just see their feet of the 2 guards that were with him. Really good. And I didn't notice. My wife had caught this. There's blood on Mickey Rourke's hand, which is kind of fit that whole scene. Like, he just killed these fuckers.
Is that the most gruesome scene in the MCU of the guards hanging there? You don't actually see their heads, but you just see the feet. It is quite unnerving.
You see their heads later, I want to say when Scarlett Johansson comes into the room way later when you see them completely.
I must miss that.
I could be wrong.
No, I think you do. I think you're right. I think you are right. I didn't write it down, but I think you're right.
But I mean, then this is when the movie you get into the final act of the movie where you have Hammer is at the he doesn't realize Ivanko was completely turned on him the way he did, and he's doing the whole little dance scene, which I feel like was completely Sam Rockwell.
I hope
he's dancing out there, the music's playing. I don't remember the music, unfortunately, but it is a cool scene, and you have all the, and he's like, you know what, we need something, drones or something, or to fight, and he's like, and we have the army, and then the military music playing, the army comes up, the Air Force, the Navy, those drones do look badass, like as they rise up.
I love that each branch of the military has like different aesthetics that would help them in what they do. That's so cool. Such a nice attention to detail.
It's really cool. Like, it's a cool scene. And then finally, after all, they come up and then Rhodey comes up in the Iron Man, the War Machine armor, where you first see it all decked out. It's in the proper colors now, which I prefer, because originally when it's all silver during that stupid fight, it irritated me because that is not War Machine. When they get him the proper colors, they get him the weapon, the very important Gatling cannon on the top shoulder. And for those that don't know, in the comics, War Machine was originally Tony Stark in a different armor. So,
okay.
Before Rhodes took over. So there's your little comic fact for this episode that nobody asked for.
No,
I only know.
Isn't that what we do, though?
I only know because I actually have hunted down that book, and it is not cheap.
Isn't that what we do?
No,
isn't that just what we do with the show? Is anybody really asking for this? I'm sorry.
First appearance of James Rhodey is Iron Man number 118, War Machine. Iron Man 170 is. Wait, what the hell? I don't even. You know what? I don't even know what the hell I'm reading. It doesn't seem to be accurate, and I don't want to look into it as much as I should. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Somebody out there knows. But more importantly, like that is cool when he comes up, and then when Tony Stark comes up and he's like, "Oh, just wave," and they start waving. He's like, "Yeah, Vanko's alive. Hammer's lying." And I want to say right away, Vanko realizes that, and at the same time, this is happening when you have Scarlett Johansson and
Happy
are both getting in the car and driving to the place to Hammer. Well, no, not yet, because originally the drones activate. I skipped the scene. So the drones activate, and they start chasing after Tony Stark, and that's when you realize they don't have control of Rhodey, and they're all just flying around, causing havoc. And at the same time, they try to arrest Hammer, and when Scarlett Johansson goes, another black, tough secret agent, and arm locks him, throws him on the table, and where is he? I like that scene.
Mm-hmm.
She's just so capable and so good at what she does. Yeah, I mean, she really is. And her and Happy together is just almost comic relief. He has no reason to be there at all.
She's changing the backseat of the car, and he's trying to look in the mirror.
I love that.
Yeah.
Watch the road.
Yeah, that is just funny when they do that scene too.
Very good.
It cracks me up. It made me laugh, and then. Yeah, everything with that. When she gets into her suit and they get to the place, and he's like, "I'll help you," and he runs and he's fighting the first guard. And during the time it takes him to beat that one guard, she takes out everybody in the building. It's great, and it's great. It's so fast. The way they have her fight is just they just have her just moving throughout the scene where she just, she's grabbing ropes one guy, ties him up, shoots these little things, electrocute people, and just besides that, just taking people out in general. It's amazing. It's a really fluid scene.
Yep, best fight scene in the movie, I'd say.
Oh yeah, by far. Yeah.
I agree.
You put it really well, Michael. It's fluid. It has a fluidity to it. It's continuous. So there's a continuity to it. It's got ebbs and flows, and again, she's extremely athletic. So I'm not sure if we've seen a lot in the MCU yet. This is early on. Really, a female character having a fight scene. I don't remember.
This is the first.
Is this not the first?
Well, you had Edward Norton. Being whiny, but that's not female. This is the first time you had a small female character doing a fight scene.
So
you had a small wimpy character doing a fight scene.
But she's of course, very athletic, and it's really interesting. I honestly think the female battles or fights in Marvel movies are better because there is that sense of fluidity. It's quicker. There's athleticism involved. There's just flipping and flying and twisting and scissoring and all that fun stuff. So it's really great. I think it's a phenomenal fight, and it's easily the best one of the movie.
It almost has a Spider-Man aesthetic to it, the way it's just more agile than powerful.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Agile. That's the word I was aiming for. I said so many words and said it in one. agile.
No, it's
exactly it.
It's a great scene. Like that's a part that really made me fall in love with Black Widow in this movie is when they have that as her just taking everybody out, and that leads like the whole MCU. Like this helped make me really feel for this character and really like her. It's just so awesome. And then at the same time, it likes to cut back and forth. You have a little bit of the scene, like the whole Happy fighting him is stupid. Like it takes him forever to take the guard out, and he's like, "I did it." And then it was comical. Like I was okay with it. And then that's when they get the computer, find out Ivan has already ran. Except he was just there on camera when they enter the building, and he like just leaves right before they get there, which kind of irritated me. Like he should have left sooner, in my opinion. But again, I'm kind of nitpicking. But I thought it was stupid. It's still good. Like and during the part where Iron Man is being chased by the drones, you have the drones that will land in a couple parts and start trying to kill civilians. There is a scene where it lands and it's about to shoot this little kid wearing an Iron Man mask. That is supposedly, in quotation, Peter Parker. They added that way later and said, yeah, that's Peter Parker right there. Yeah.
So it was a long-running fan theory, and then Tom Holland, of all people, got one of the big Marvel people to be like, okay, yeah, that was Peter Parker. Why not?
What now? Come on. I call him
canon now. That's Peter Parker in canon of the MCU.
I ignore it. I reject your canon.
It's stupid. It doesn't need to be there. It doesn't serve any purpose.
An Iron Man mask. Let's get kid an Iron Man mask. It's fine.
That's why they did it, just because they could. But it also, in the sense of it, it can lead to okay, this is why Peter Parker really looks up to Iron Man. Also, it's the whole idea of it, but it wasn't. I didn't agree with it. It's just kind of like my wife's like, no. I'm like, that's what they say. Nope. It was fun.
I refute you. Why? Because I want to.
I mean, I'm okay with that scene when they're being chased around and he's taking all the drones, and it isn't until they finally drive into the like big globe and they all go bounce, 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 bounce and blow up. Like it's a cool scene. Like the whole being chased by the drones, I enjoy that initial part until they finally both crash in the like dome or greenhouse. What word do I want to use?
Yeah, it's the dome. It's like the dome. Yeah, I mean,
okay. And that's when Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, finally shuts down War Machine, and then he reboots and get control of him. I mean, I liked it. I mean, I like the whole scene leading up to it. Comes right after this too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the drone battle, it's kind of like a dogfight, but it really is more just a chase sequence. So for me, it didn't. There were some neat parts of it, blowing up all the cars underneath the bridge. And there's one very funny moment where Tony Stark swings by a bunch of cars and a couple start going off with their alarms. And then the drones go by and they all start going off with their alarms.
Yeah.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. I just wish there was more dogfighting, like more kind of turns and twists. And, it just felt like a straight line chase. Which is fine. Yeah, again, it's just getting us to the final confrontation, and it does that job. It's workmanlike. And a lot of these things in this movie are very workmanlike, just getting us from one place to another. So. And
they do a cool scene when you have all of them fighting all the drones and War Machine and Iron Man working together, and all the drones just land. They're like, oh shit, like that. That is a cool scene. Like I liked it back when I saw it in theaters. I didn't like it as much this most recent watch, but I still think it's a doable scene. Like it's just cool, comic book action. And did you guys like Mickey Rourke behind the scenes at the hammer thing, controlling the drones and all that? Did that kind of work for you? I mean, I guess that's why he stayed longer than he should have. But in my opinion, he stayed too long. And it just bugged me. He was like he just leaves right when they get in the room. He's gone. I don't know. It was nitpicking, but it bothered me.
So now we're in the dome?
Yeah, we're in the dome. You have when you fight as I was just saying, when they fight all the drones in the dome, and then when they finally beat all the drones, they get to the boss fight. That's what it felt like to me. When the Whiplash shows up in his giant suit.
It's exactly what it is. It's they take out all the kind of the chaff and showcase all the little neat stuff the suit does, as Iron Man movies do, especially the final circular laser thing.
The one-off,
That was
good
rad.
stuff.
Good stuff, yes. But again, we skipped over Hammer's wonderful little bullet that's going to take out the bunker on top of a bunker.
That happens right now.
Yeah, and he shoots it at the. He shoots it at Whiplash.
At Whiplash, and nothing happens.
It just bounces off him. It lands in a puddle, makes like a little fart noise, and Tony says, "Hammer tech." Yeah.
That's very good. Very good.
It had a good payoff for the joke. It was good. It made me laugh too.
Oh yeah, very good.
There was one part that bothered me so much about Whiplash, but I know it was just a movie thing. He keeps taking off his face mask. He keeps revealing his face. Because like, oh, we got to see Mickey Rourke. We paid him all this money. We got to see that ugly face of his. Like, I'm like, leave the damn mask on. Like, just do what they do for Iron Man and you know, Robert Downey Jr. and Don Cheadle, where they just show their face with the little cybernetic things on the side, like they're inside the suit. Like it bothered me so much when he keeps opening his face up, because I mean, that's kind of his undoing in the end, too. Like when he has them both tied up with the ropes and they're losing and they're about to be done for and they shoot their lasers together, his face is open and available to be murdered. And I'm like, he wouldn't have done that. He wasn't in a situation where his face needed to be shown, like in the first Iron Man movie with Odiah, whatever the hell his name is, Ironmonger. Something happened to him where he had to remove the helmet because his whole radar and everything was screwed up. He didn't have a choice.
Right.
Like this. There was no one line or something like, oh, you bastard, destroy my radar or something. I have to look at you now. No, like, no, we paid you. Get your face on the screen. Like, it was just, it bothered me a lot.
That's fair. What did you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I really never paid it any mind, but that's definitely a good point. It's like, it's clearly just because, hey, we got a big name actor. We need to put him out there on display.
Well, like the reason they killed Ironmonger is because his face was exposed. He was able to be electrocuted by the arc reactor blowing up. So that's kind of what they were going for. I felt, and I'm like, this is stupid. You're doing the same exact thing all over again.
They could have done something, would have been stupid, but they could have done something at least that makes sense. Something along the lines of, you know, he'll say, I want you to see my face as I kill you, you know, or something like that, right? Like
I could have bought that.
Like at least, hey, reason. That's a good point. I didn't even think about it.
Maybe I'm just like, again, it was kind of nitpicky, but it honestly irritated me from just because it just felt very uncharacteristic of him, because he's not the brightest villain, but he's not the dumbest either. Like any villain, but like, I'm going to keep my face hidden because you're going to blow me up. Like it's stupid, and it really bothers me. And then he self-destructs and he blows up all the drones like that. I was okay with that, and this also kind of follows what they like doing in these early movies, where like to kill off the villain at the end of the movie, such as Iron Man 1. They did it in this movie again. They got to make sure the villain can't come back again, like in a normal comic book. We got to blow him up. And it's okay. Yeah. No, that's fair. And again, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Just adds a little more tension to it. But nothing bad is really going to happen, especially since this is an early Marvel movie. It's fine though. I'm okay with it. Did Mickey Rourke did Mickey Rourke's suit do anything else other than just the standard whips? Did it have anything else?
Nope. It was bigger.
No, it was bigger, right? Okay.
It was bulkier.
I didn't think so. It was just a bigger, bulkier suit.
Yeah, they couldn't, like, I think they tried shooting it, they couldn't really hurt it either at first. The armor was more durable to handle their shots, maybe, but I can't remember they even really shot it. They just got grabbed by the whips, and that was the end of that.
Again, super quick. A very quick fight that really didn't do much. A couple of slashes with those crazy whips, which are fun, and then they kind of tie them up and do their, I don't know, combined the streams explosion.
It's just, yeah, I mean, all I can think of was Ghostbusters this whole time.
Yeah, basically. So then we get back to Pepper and God, Tony at the roof.
Oh no, you have the scene where as he finds out they're self-destructing, he blows out of the thing with War Machine, rushes to save Pepper because of course she can't. She just has to I mean, if I see something beeping, I am not going to stick around. Yes. I have watched enough movies, played enough video games. Something starts beeping, I am moving.
That's it. Yeah, if something's beeping, that should be code. Move. Don't stick around.
Even like in a normal situation, let's say here, hypothetically speaking, if I was a driver for FedEx and someone was to hold a box and the box was vibrating, I would put it down and question what's in that box really fast. So I assume a CEO of a company, if they were to see something beeping red, they might go, I better start moving, not stand there and wait for the hero to save them.
Well, she's only been a CEO for a week, so give her. She's barely gotten out of the HR training. She doesn't have all her credentials yet for all her programs. It's fine.
Again, it had to happen to lead to the scene on the roof, which is okay, where you finally see Pepper Potts and Iron Man kiss and kind of get together, and you have them, where they finally show they really care for each other, which I'm okay with all that. Like, none of that bothered me.
Yeah, fine. It's fine. I do like the fact that War Machine's just kind of sitting there like a creeper.
He's been there the whole time.
He's been sitting there the whole time. He's kind of just It's
and
weird.
that's where that line that Mike had earlier, where you look like two seals fighting over.
Agreed.
Okay, it's a dumb line, but I don't.
It's extraordinarily dumb, but it's the kind of thing Hammer would say.
Yeah.
It's not something Rhodey would say. Rhodey yells and screams and gets all stern and berates Tony. But anyway, that's fine. It's fine. I think we've said it's fine a lot this show. I think
it's great.
That is the theme of this movie. I think it's fine. It's okay. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
just what this movie is. I mean, it's a good movie for connecting the dots and really leading into what becomes later, and how this was such a big setup movie for Avengers down the road. Like that's why I like it more than I remembered, and realized that my memory had played tricks on me after watching this movie this last time.
Yeah, and we'll get into our summations probably at the end, but that's exactly what I have here. It's a bridge movie. It's a bridge.
And then I want to say it's almost done, and this is where you have him meeting with Nick Fury, where they kind of talk about how, you know, he's holding the envelope that says Avengers thing, and he's like, hey, you're not supposed to look at that, and of course he does. And one thing I didn't realize while I was Googling things while we've been talking is there's a map in the background, and it has a couple things notated in little circles: New Mexico, which is Thor; California, Iron Man; one near Greenland, which is Cap. Yep, you took it from me.
Sorry,
you're good. They show Africa, which is, and it says Wakanda on it, which is a reference. So way.
Wow, I didn't notice that either.
Wakanda a couple times in the MCU.
I want to say Age of Ultron.
Yes, they go to Wakanda in Age of Ultron, or they don't go to it, but he got the material from Wakanda.
Oh yeah, the vibranium.
And one of the other things that has never been referenced yet is there's also one location in the Atlantic, which was possibly, they say, a Namor reference, which has never happened yet.
Could be the Tesseract, I guess.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. The Tesseract was in the... Well, no, he crashed in the Antarctic.
Oh, yeah.
So they're thinking Namor, because I want to say Namor is not owned by them. At this time, they don't own Namor. They had sold Namor to somebody back before all this, because they sold everything. And it never gotten... I don't know if they own Namor still. I think Namor is one of those characters that they still don't own. Like, they don't completely own Hulk. They don't own distribution rights to Hulk. That's why we never will get a Hulk movie. Hulk movie. But I can't remember. No, Namor is fully owned by Marvel now. But for a while, he wasn't owned. For those that don't know, Namor is a naked guy in green trunks.
the Submariner. Yeah. He's mostly associated with the Fantastic Four, so maybe we'll see that then.
I highly doubt it, but I'd be okay with it. I mean, they're going to have to go somewhere because they're running out of things to do. So we'll see. He's an interesting character, but I thought I didn't catch all that until I was reading things. But I mean, that scene is cool. Like, I mean, seeing any more Samuel Jackson Nick Fury is always cool because he's just
always need it. Yep. Good with that.
And I like the scene where they're like, yeah, we don't want you, Iron Man, yes. Tony Stark? No. He's like, I am Iron Man. They're like, we don't want you.
Which I think is a really good turn because, of course, at the end of a Marvel movie, you expect welcomed into the collective, and they say, nope, don't really want you. We want you as a consultant. And then, of course, that leads into that consultant thing I watched, 2 hours ago, right before the show, which is great. I had no idea it existed until 10 minutes before we recorded. So
we should reference that really quick. What the consultant is? It's a little short film because during this time, I want to say on the Blu-ray releases, they would release little short films to go along with the Blu-ray, when they used to have added features on a Blu-ray, and it's a little thing called The Consultant. It has Phil Coulson Coulson, Agent Coulson, and Sitwell, who, spoiler alert, is Hydra. You find they do that way in the Winter Soldier, but he's off and on in these different things. He's in Avengers. He's in the first episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. He kind of bounces around a little bit, and this is when they first reference that. They reference him. It might have been his first appearance, and he's talking with, they're like, we don't really want Emil Blonsky, the Abomination, to be on the team, but S.H.I.E.L.D. wants.
The big name, the council behind S.H.I.E.L.D. says they want Blonsky for the Avengers, and they said that they're going to. Sewell's like, well, what about Harlem? Coulson says, well, they're going to blame that on Banner. So they want Blonsky because he's a war hero.
Yeah,
makes sense. I could kind of see that.
I guess if they're going to sell a monster against the war hero monster, even though they destroyed half of Harlem, I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're a war hero, if you're in the military, you're going to attract people in top of the military are going to be attracted to the military person versus the scientist.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because he can follow orders, even though he didn't follow orders.
Yeah.
That same idea.
That was like his main character flaw. But then they decide that they don't want Blonsky. He's a freaking criminal. He's a psycho. So they send in a patsy to sabotage the meet and greet with General Ross. And that happens to be the consultant, Tony Stark. And that ties back in with the stinger from Hulk that in the last episode we were kind of confused. Like, well, who is Tony trying to recruit for the Avengers? It wasn't Hulk.
It doesn't explain it.
Yeah, it definitely feels out of place, and now we know why.
This helped. This helped make my appreciation more for Hulk, and this also takes place after Iron Man 2 has already happened.
Right.
It's so weird. And I do like the part they're like, yeah, he went like, how'd it go? It didn't go well, but he bought the bar. It's being demolished.
We're good. Yeah, it's being demolished. That's funny.
It's
Tony being Tony.
Yeah, Tony being Tony, flashing that cash.
I think that about there's only, and then we do have, as what becomes known for every Marvel movie from here on, they do another stinger at the very end of this movie, where I remember when I saw this in theaters, I got so excited because it doesn't really say. It shows Coulson has finally arrived in New Mexico, within hinting at throughout the movie, and says Land of Enchantment, which I didn't know that actually was New Mexico. It was called Land of Enchantment.
Apparently, it's on the license plate.
Yeah, and it shows a big crater. And then it shows a bunch of people parked out. And I mean, I know what that means now, but back then I'm like, okay. And then it shows the hammer. And I remember when I was in the theater, I just had the biggest smile on my face when I saw the hammer. And I remember people being like, what's that? Because people didn't really know who Thor was. You know, the average person wouldn't know who Thor was.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had no idea who it was. So.
No.
It's all right. It's fine. I could be the average person. The weird thing with me in those Marvel end scenes is that I don't know anything about the franchise. So I'd always have to like, okay, there's a hammer, and then go online and look up
onto Google.
What's the hammer, or what's with that scene? And they'd be like, oh, it's Thor. Or like when they first revealed the gauntlet for the Infinity Stones, and they first revealed all that kind of thing. I was like, what's with the glove?
So go online. The purple guy.
It was just purple dude with the weird ball section. Okay, perfect. There we go. I never know. So I always stick around for them, but then I have to research at the very, very end.
I have a couple times too. There's been a couple that have thrown me. I'm like, what the hell? But I like it how most of these are actually like to lead to more into the story overall. Yeah.
And it's fun for after the fact, right? Now now it's like, oh, okay, that's Thor. So he's this. Okay, now we're gonna lead into the Thor movie. Cool. So yeah, it's fun, but I am that person who never knew.
It's all right. Thor wasn't a big character either.
Yeah.
Like he was probably. I mean, even though he's been an Avenger forever. He's been around in the '60s or even earlier. I think the '60s. He's always been a C-list, B-list character. He was never big. I feel like until after his movie and everything.
Same with Iron Man.
Yeah, like we were talking about in two episodes ago. Yeah, but yeah,
1962 when he was created. So it's been a long time.
There was one more scene that we kind of skipped over. Is at the end of Tony talking to Fury, he says, "I need a favor. Rhodey and I are being presented with awards, and we need a presenter."
Oh, yeah.
And then it cuts to a press conference of Stern, Senator Stern.
This is good.
Putting the medals on Rhodey, and then he goes to put it on Tony and stabs him with it. Oh, so sorry. It's funny how annoying a little prick can be. Such a good line.
Very good. Yeah.
It fit the character. It fit everything with the movie. And we also, like, when you give him Don Cheadle, he's like, you deserve this. And he does it all normal, and he pricks Tony because he doesn't think he deserves it.
You deserve this. No, he deserved the stabbing.
It was great. I think that about wraps up everything we want to say for this movie. Any last thing before we go to Shelf or Box?
I think that's it.
No, Shelf or Box. Let's do it.
Okay, Bill, why don't you go first?
So for me, I'm boxing it. Like I said to my wife yesterday or last night when we finished, and actually this morning too, I was talking to her about it. I don't need to see this again. I don't. I saw it. I've seen it maybe 4 times. This is probably my 4th time. 5th. It's a very slight movie. Like I said at the open, it's a bridge movie. And its biggest problem is the fact that there's no good villains. So there's no good friction. And you can, as much as I love Sam Rockwell, I think he's wonderful in this. if you're gonna have a bumbling idiot as a villain, you need someone extremely capable to balance out. And both of these people are just not very good at what they do, and there's not, and that just provides no friction. And if the friction of the movie is Tony Stark's emotional journey to healing his heart and also healing his relationship with his dad, even though they've passed, kind of settling all those settling those daddy issues and all that, you still never see it. It's all kind of implied and you never see it. So for me, it was a big flat movie with some good moments and some fun moments and some really good performances, but in the end, it's not something I need to see again, so it goes in the box.
Okay. That's fair.
Mike, how about you?
I feel like I'm going to steal some of your thunder here because you were saying this earlier, but damn it, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, let me backpedal here. So I kind of wish we had a third option here, like in between Shelf and the Box, because I feel like it would probably go in there because I really want to like this movie, and that's what it was. You had said before that you remembered liking it more than you did this viewing, and I kind of felt in the same boat. And I wonder if it's like the lack of action that the people kind of poo-poo on it a little bit, because even when there is action, it's super quick and just over with. But so I want to like it, but I think it's going to have to go in the box too. So I wish we had a third category in the middle, some kind of gray area, but it's not how we do here.
No, when we first came up with this, like I remember it was really like last minute in the first episode. I was like, oh yeah, we talked about that, and then it just kind of happened. So it's like many things on this show, they just kind of happened, and now we've been doing it for this many episodes. So I'll go last. As I said before, I really remember liking this movie, and I even watched it 2 years ago, and I think I really liked it and thought it was a great movie. And this time it didn't. I found myself kind of bored. I like the fact that it connects the universe. It's not a bad movie by any means. There are a couple MCU movies I hate, and this is not one of them. Like, I still can watch this movie, and I still enjoyed it, but it's going in the box. I will watch it again someday easily. Like if Disney Plus, when I cancel Disney Plus and I'm in the mood for an MCU movie and it's the only one there, I'll gladly watch it if it's one of the few. I'll pick this over Guardians of the Galaxy 2, no problem at all. But that's gonna be a fun one. But it's not as good as I remember, and it's better than Iron Man 3. That's for sure. I could definitely watch this again, but I don't want to, and I'm glad I rewatched it. And I'm good in the box, and box lightly in the box on the top. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and be more critical. Like, only the top tier movies are going to go on the shelf, and everything else is just going to go in the box. And that's how I'm going to rationalize this for myself.
That works. I mean, it's hard because most of these are all great movies. Mm-hmm. So
see, it depends. Oh, sorry. I was going to say it depends on where you put the box. Like, if it's in like a garage underneath all your Christmas stuff, and you got like really work to get it out, yeah, that's the box. But if it's like a box in a closet that's easily accessible, maybe that's the gray area. I'm not going to put it in the box in the garage that's covered by all the Christmas stuff. I'll put it in the box in the closet, with the shirts that don't fit anymore, and that's it. Just pull it out. It's there. I don't mind rooting through a box full of unorganized DVDs just to find it. Like, all right, so yeah.
I don't like doing that.
If it involves a ladder, I'm not. If it involves a ladder, forget it. Forget it.
No heavy lifting.
We watched Street Fighter. One of the guys said he put it in a box and then burned the box.
Nice.
He hated the movie.
That's good.
But that's understandable. Oh, and I also want to say our next movie obviously will be the first Thor that we'll be covering, so you can look forward to that because we're going to keep doing this in order. I'm excited to watch Thor. I haven't seen Thor in a long since Age of Ultron came out, so I'm very excited to see Thor again.
It's definitely been a while.
It's been
Have you seen it before, Bill?
Oh yeah. It's in my case of DVDs that are sitting by the TV or Blu-rays rather.
Dark World more recently than I've seen the original Thor. That's sad.
That is actually pretty sad.
I like that movie too, but it's been a while, so we'll see how my opinion has changed. So that's something you guys got to look forward to. As also, we have tons of comic episodes for you to listen to. There are tons of episodes in general for you to listen to that we've been doing on Games My Mom Found. We have our video games, we have our movies, we have our comics, we have this continuing cycle MCU. So this is your first MCU movie. Please feel free to listen to Iron Man and Hulk that are currently published as of the time you're hearing this. So and we will continue doing this. I want to thank everyone for listening. Thank you too for joining me again for another of my crazy project to do all the MCU movies.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah, thanks for having me.
3 down, only 20 some more to go.
That's fine.
My goal right now is just to get to Homecoming. Once you get to Homecoming, that's right now the only goal, because who knows what's happening after that as of right now. So because as of this recording, they currently pushed back Black Widow to November of 2020.
Oh, Far From Home, you mean?
Yeah, Far From Home.
Yeah, Far
right?
From Home.
What did I say?
Homecoming.
Oh, oops. So yeah, that's my goal. We can cover all those. I will be happy, and we'll see what happens after that. But that is my goal right now. I just want to cover all those.
Awesome.
That's a lot of movies, though.
Yes.
What else we got to do?
23 films.
Oh,
So we
that's
had
it.
20 more. Plus whatever side ventures we take.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
that's just probably going to happen. We're taking advantage of the pandemic and recording more right now because I have time. I can't. There's no going out to eat with my wife. There's no going to the mall and wandering around Mall America. None of that's happening. It's just I'll just go record. So, yeah, it's great. All right, and I also want to give an awesome shout out to our awesome intro, courtesy of Paulby, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP "Bite the Bullet," song to Cool Kid Squad. You will see a link in his show notes, so definitely check him out on his YouTube channel. All right, and if you do have Disney Plus, you can watch Iron Man 2 after you listen to us bitch about it.
If you want. I don't know what you'd want to after we kind of pooed on it.
Yeah, really, we didn't do it any favors, I don't think. So, but hey, listen,
We were nicer to it than we were the Hulk last month, so.
yes, I'm a firm believer in form your own opinions and then argue with us in the car as you're driving to your place of employment when we're allowed to actually leave our homes. So,
God,
Isn't that what the internet's all about?
yes,
I can't wait. Like I was watching a Garth Brooks live concert recently. You can tell I'm dating myself right now for those that follow Garth Brooks. And he was like, "Yeah, we gotta get back to a life that we were bitching about before this." And I'm like, "You're right, but I'm ready. I am so ready to get back to life. It is killing me right now." And the irony of things that I'm willing to, well, I'm not sure I'm willing to put this on the recording or not. We'll see. We'll see what I think about when I'm editing. But the irony of things, I finally got promoted to my own store. But due to things happening, my current store is closed at the moment because like many stores are. And I'm just like 1 week after I finished working in 2 stores, I'm finally in my store. I'm done helping out. They shut the doors that Friday that same week. And I'm like, irony. I mean, we're opening back up. Then once things are better, we're opening back up. But
all right. Well, hey, yeah. Sorry to hear that, man. But hey, lots of time for podcasting now.
Oh, I'm still working. I'm a floater right now. I drive from city to city within the Twin Cities working.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm still working. They're still letting me work.
Good.
It's just, I'm just the guy. Like each week is like, hey, where am I going this week? Oh, they need help here. Okay, I'll head there. Like that's so.
Sounds good.
Prime podcasting hours.
Indeed. Yeah.
At least listening to it, not so much recording.
Exactly.
I am. My drive's been longer. Like my normal drive's about 20 minutes. My current drive to one of the stores I'm going to, thank God there's no traffic, is a 30-minute drive. With traffic, it'd probably be an hour. And I'm like, I'm okay driving here as long while the world's shut down.
Mm-hmm.
After the world opens back up, nope.
Good deal.
Yeah, that's our. I like doing at the end of an episode a random bullshit thing that had nothing to do with whatever the topic was.
Yeah, well,
just to put it.
Awesome.
The people want to know about us.
Yes, our personalities.
All right. We will see you guys. We will see you. I will see you next week, but we will all see you again next month with Thor. Bye, everybody.
Bye.